Moonlit musings for sports-mad vampires, factory shift workers...
Never mind hello, Chuck.
And men with prostate trouble. Morning, Andy.
What are you doing?
Make sure you stay awake for the radio show that never sucks. The Nosferatu Mics on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! You worry too much about the time.
Yeah, no, I worry about it.
What you do is you boil up a bowl of porridge, and then, almost in the style of a comedy film,
no, it says
you pick up the bowl and you tip it all over your head. Rum, 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 rum. What I normally do is I put all the shelves in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, they go in the middle.
And now I'll put them upside down. I've never said that.
Yes, you have.
I have not, you fool. You're trying to brand me like some sort of lunatic.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. It's time to say a very warm welcome, and not a hearty one, because he objected to it yesterday, to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
A very good morning to you, Mike. What do you mean I objected to a hearty welcome? Well, I don't object to a hearty welcome.
Well, last night I said a very good hearty welcome to you, and you said, is that some kind of dig at my heart condition?
Oh, yeah.
It was all, got all weird and paranoid about it, so I decided not to say hearty
no,
anymore.
No,
it's quite a nice thing
to
say.
I don't get weird and paranoid, because I'm not weird or paranoid.
Oh, right,
it's just that, you sometimes, I think, flail around a little bit in your attempt to match my intellectual probing of the facts. And what's your problem?
Well, I could see you were stumbling for the word. No, carry on.
No. My probing of the facts and the ultimate reason why I'm here.
What is the ultimate reason why you're here?
Seeking truth and justice, of course.
Indeed.
I am the seeker of justice. Now, look, on the swearing thing,
right.
I
think it's a good thing to seek truth and justice on the swearing, because it's a bit of a bugbear. I'm not going to say a campaign, but a big bugbear of mine is the amount of swearing that goes on at football. Not just on the field, but off it as well.
Oh, it's shocking in the crowd and all that kind of stuff. I'd never encourage swearing, and I don't hold with this idea that, you real men always swear together. Get a group of men together and just assume they've got to swear together and all this kind of stuff. Get an all-male... It's a bit sexist, this, get an all-male situation and fruity language is accepted. I tell you what, I've seen groups of women together whose language is a lot more fruity than I'd like it to be, and rather repulsive. But let me tell you something which not many people know.
Okay.
Not many people know this. And this supports what you've just said about, I think it's a good thing that swearing's been banned.
Yeah.
The SAS absolutely ban all swearing when they're on operations.
Is that right?
Absolutely ban it, because according to their military commanders, once you're into the swearing situation, it's an indication you've lost control of yourself.
Right.
And if the swearing is loud, if it's so audio aware that the enemy can hear it and all that kind of stuff, the enemy know you've lost control of yourself as well.
Right.
And so they...
Fascinating. That is interesting.
No, it is. It's absolutely true. You're only allowed to use plain English language, and a lot of that is in code as well.
Yeah.
So the enemy don't know what you're talking about, but swear words are an indication of the fact that you're not 100% in control of your emotions, and therefore you are unsettling those men around you.
Yeah.
But you can imagine it, can't you? You're in a very tense situation. If somebody suddenly starts effing and blinding, you think, that guy's lost it.
Yeah.
So they utterly ban swearing,
right.
and in the same sort of way, you translate that to a football pitch. You could say, once a guy starts effing and blinding and start putting the foot up to his opponents and all that, the opponents have rattled him to the extent where he's lost it.
Exactly.
So
there's nothing worse for me than to watch referees getting lambasted and sworn at all the time.
Yes.
And I mean, there was I think a piece written by one of the leaders of the referees organisation. I think it was Mike Riley, was it?
Yes.
Who said, actually, we've taken a view at the beginning of this season that we are not going to give players yellow cards for swearing at the referee, which I think is entirely wrong.
No,
I think they should give yellow cards.
Of course they should. It's entirely wrong, and it's another sign of chipping away at the degeneration of our society, and something which I funnily enough, you and I accord on. Now, coming in tonight, I come in through the old TalkSport car park there, and I see
Did you struggle with the old tube strike and all
that? Well, not really. I stayed well away from it today.
Did you?
Down Surrey today. Didn't leave the house all day today, except for a mission which I'll tell you about in a minute.
No, okay.
It's a desperate mission to try and preserve the sanctity of my own home. But
I can't wait to hear that story.
What are you laughing at?
Well, the sanctity of your own home.
Yeah,
what can that possibly mean?
Well, don't you enjoy the sanctity of your own home? Don't you cherish the sanctity of your own home?
I've never really referred to it as that.
Don't you?
I've never thought about it.
Don't you stand up and try and
a place of sanctuary?
I didn't say sanctuary. I said sanctity.
I know.
It's a different word.
No, that's a different word, but it implies a sort of religious kind of bent.
It doesn't.
Sanctity.
It means, I don't want, deplorable influences to affect the lifestyle I live within my own home.
Deplorable influences, like what?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay,
I'll tell you. At the moment, what I'm telling you about is I walked across the car park this morning.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. This evening, that is.
This evening?
Yeah, coming in here, and I see your old jalopy, and I think, oh, look at this. I can't believe it. He's gone
creeping about my car again.
No, I wasn't creeping about you.
Creeping about my car.
I wasn't creeping about your car, mate. I just happened to walk past it. I looked at it and I thought, what a complete waste of money. Because I saw this new device sitting on.
Going very well, actually.
I saw this new device sitting on your dashboard, and I assumed because it's a big square thing. He's got himself a sat nav. So you got a sat nav for him? That old wreck, you know.
I've got a sat nav. No.
No, no. Anyway, on close examination, I think that's funny. Why is this sat nav connected by a bit of wire or something to the roof of the car? And of course, I got closer again to find out that actually it's your rear view mirror, which has dropped off from where rear view mirrors are, and now dangles just above your dashboard.
Yeah.
So the thing's fallen to bits, obviously.
No, it's not. It's just a rather unfortunate... I blame the speed bump. Actually, the two things that I blame. Yeah. The speed bumps, first of all. I came over a speed bump on the way in tonight.
But, and the mirror fell off. That's a very well-made car.
Just dropped down, right?
Yeah. Oh, blimey. I better not go over any speed bumps on the way home, or my doors might drop off.
Yeah, well, I mean, your tyres have been known to self-deflate, haven't they?
Certainly have.
And your engine has been known to smoke for no particular reason. And your lights and flashes have come on in the dashboard. So it does happen to people. But yeah, and apparently the car was taken for a clean a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And
who took it?
The guys who, the mother of my children took it for a clean the other day. Because whenever she borrows the car, she likes to get it cleaned. Because she likes a nice clean car.
What do you want to borrow that old wreck for? She likes to go down market.
She quite likes driving it occasionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God,
and I had to take the other car up to Manchester.
She don't have much fun in life, can she? If she thinks that's
she has a
thrill.
lot of fun in life, actually.
Driving old jalopy.
Yeah, I know, she quite likes it. But anyway, apparently these guys were cleaning the car on the inside, and I think they may have knocked it in some way and somehow loosened it from its holding.
How can you do that?
Well, I don't know.
Can't be very well made if a guy who goes in with a duster and starts dusting it. He's damaged the mirror. It's fallen off.
Well, he might have hit it quite hard.
Duster vandalism.
Yeah, he might have hit it quite hard. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
I think I'll smack this mirror now. Give the mirror one. I'm fed up with this mirror. Yeah,
very violent tonight.
No, I'm not. I'm just pulling to pieces your ridiculous argument that you're trying to give to the audience. And basically what you're saying is, not my fault I drive a wreck.
Well, it's an old car.
You could put that in a crusher, and you'd get more for its worth.
Yeah, I know this is a complete kind of anathema to you.
It is.
Because you'd like to drive around in a car that you think gives you some kind of status, even though it's a crappy C-Class, bottom-of-the-range Mercedes. It makes no difference to me, right?
It's also only 18 months old, and therefore the mirror doesn't drop off when I'm driving.
Well, yeah, but the tyres drop off, and the smoke comes out of the engine. You've spent a bunch of money on that car in the last year, haven't you?
No, I've had a couple of punctures, but you can't... There's nothing you can do to avoid punctures.
You've had a couple of punctures. You've been about 5 episodes of the tyre pressure light
That's
coming
from
on.
screws on the road, yeah. Yeah, I've had a few things like that.
These things happen.
But luckily, because it's a brand new car, you take it to a Mercedes dealers and you walk away and go to the pub for a quick pint while they fix it, and then you come back and you take it away. You don't mess around trying to fix it yourself.
And they do that for you for free, right?
Of course.
And they don't charge you any money.
No.
Because you're paying some ludicrous amount in a lease.
So what?
Yeah, well, you're spending about 85 times as much as I am on the car.
Yeah,
so, that's fine.
I know, but that's because I like a nice car, not a heap.
Well, it's because you're a snob.
No.
And you don't know anything about, you go and buy, Cherry Aid from Morrison's because it's only £1.50.
No, it's not. It's 75p.
75p.
Yeah.
But you'll spend a ludicrous amount of money on a car, £500 a month or some nonsense, right? Because you think that means that you'll have a nice car.
Well, no.
I don't spend anything on my car.
No, my greatest fear in life is a car breaking down on me because I wouldn't know what to do. And also, it's humiliating to be in a broken down car because you look inferior to all the other motorists who are driving past you.
I don't care about that.
And I couldn't stand that.
I don't care about that.
I don't like looking inferior.
Yeah, but that's what you're paranoid about looking inferior. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, my main problem is I don't know where to go to get it fixed. I'm not sure if Halfords will do it. I don't particularly want to take it to some garage that I don't know.
Well, no, actually, that's not your main problem.
What's that?
Your main problem is that you won't be able to drive it out of here tomorrow morning.
Yeah, of course I will.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, you will not. It is completely and utterly against the law.
No, it isn't.
And it's against the highway code to drive a vehicle without a rear view mirror.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
It is, I'm telling you.
I can hold the rear view mirror while I'm driving, right?
No, no, you can't. You have to have both hands on the wheel. No, you can't do that.
No, you don't have to have both
I'm
hands
sorry,
on the wheel.
I'm going to make sure this car's disabled before...
How do you change gear if you've got both hands on the wheel?
I'm sorry?
How do you change gear if you've got both hands on the wheel?
No, you don't understand. Well, it's an automatic car, isn't it?
No, but I'm talking about you'll say that the law is you have to have both hands on the wheel.
Yes, that's right.
How do you change gear?
If you've got an automatic car, you don't need to take your hand off the wheel.
People haven't got an automatic car.
Well, that's their problem. They have to devise their own ways of driving some cheap, inferior interior wreck.
So it's not illegal to have your one hand off the wheel?
You know as well as I do that you have to have utterly and complete control of your car when you're driving it,
yes,
OK?
True.
And unless you're changing gear, you've got to have both hands on the wheel.
Uh-huh.
You cannot spend... And anyway, by the way, you'd soon get arm-ache if you spend a journey of, some 10 miles holding the mirror up the middle.
I've only got to go about a mile and a half.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Utterly ludicrous.
Well,
look,
you can't drive somewhere to get it fixed.
You can't move that car, I'm afraid.
Well, I'll be moving it.
No, you can't. I'm not... I'm going to make...
you're going to hang around till 6 o'clock, are you?
No, I'm going to tell the gate man to make sure that car's disabled. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, you're not taking that car out.
If you do that to me, I'll make sure you're bloody disabled next time I see you.
Oh, is that a threat?
Yeah, it is a threat.
Oh, a physical threat
against me?
against
It is a physical
me?
threat against you, yes.
Oh, I see.
You go anywhere near my car, you will suffer the consequences, matey.
Oh, physical consequences?
Yes,
You're going to beat me up, are you?
Yeah, I will, yeah.
Oh, this has reached a new plateau now, a new level. I'm sorry. And I hope that the TalkSport management is aware of this violent outbreak of threatening behaviour, one employee against another. This can't be allowed.
No,
this can't be allowed.
You're full of rules tonight, aren't you?
I am full of rules,
okay.
yeah.
Well, let's stop now, because the rule says we have to stop. It's 14 minutes past 1.
That car will be disabled because you could drive out of here and without a rear-view mirror, you could cause an accident in which somebody could be killed.
Don't be an idiot.
So I'm looking after the rest of society, OK?
Don't be an idiot.
And you're threatening to disable me, to put me in a wheelchair, because I'm sticking up for the rest of the world.
That's not what I
Seeker
said.
of truth and justice rules.
This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. There will, of course, be a Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on. The subject matter tonight is the Romans.
Yes.
So I hope you've been boning up on the old, the old ancient civilizations.
No, I didn't need to.
No?
I didn't need to.
Because you're an expert.
Well, I know a lot about it. My godson went to St John's College, Oxford, and studied classics.
Right. That doesn't mean you know anything about it just because he went there.
I used to help him with it.
You used to help him with it?
Yeah.
You used to help him with it?
Yeah, I used to help him with it.
Like, in what way?
Well, he studied ancient Greek and Latin, and the classical scriptures, you know, and the classical tomes.
Any particular ones?
Yeah, all these guys like Virgil.
Virgil?
Uh-huh. Yeah, and things like that, you know. And by the way...
So how did you help him?
I'm not talking about the bloke who flew Thunderbird 1,
that was my first thought.
Yeah, no, this is a proper old Greek fella who wrote a lot of stuff. A
lot of stuff. Yeah. Well, what did you help him with, though? What kind of questions did he ask you?
Oh, I used to, he used to like to be challenged about the texts and what they made and the interpretation of them and all that kind of stuff. And you have to understand that most of what we know about the ancient world came from the classical scriptures and the written by the ancient Greeks and the Roman philosophers. And so in the interpretation of all those, you're not only learning to speak these languages, you're learning the history of the world.
Yes, and indeed the history of their civilization.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Let's talk about the current civilization, because quite a few people have objected to what you just said about my car.
Oh, yeah.
Ian says this: I drive a vehicle that doesn't have a rear-view mirror.
Well, you should be off the road then.
That's because it's a bloody van.
Yeah.
Mark says, Parry, you're a weasel.
Yeah.
Mickey says, Porky, you're talking rubbish again. My truck hasn't got a rear-view mirror.
Of course
Vans haven't got them either. Dealing facts, Porky. Hang
on, what do you call a wing mirror then? What do you call a couple of wing mirrors?
Wing mirrors.
Yeah.
You call them wing mirrors.
Yeah, which are rear view mirrors.
No, they're wing mirrors.
No, and they're rear view mirrors.
No, they're wing mirrors.
What do they show on their screen? What does the mirror?
They're called wing mirrors.
Yeah, they're called wing mirrors, but what image do they show? They show a view from behind, you idiot.
Yeah.
So they're rear view mirrors.
So you're saying that's a rear view mirror?
That's what I'm saying.
It's not a wing mirror.
I'm saying they're rear view mirrors.
Here's one from
on the wing.
IO Head, who says, again, Porky is wrong. It is not a requirement to have a rear view mirror. Many vehicles don't have them because they don't have back windows, i.e. vans.
No, you don't
So you're wrong
understand.
about that.
No, you don't understand.
So you're completely wrong.
Why do you think modern day buses have these huge arcing mirrors at the front which go out like ears off the side of the vehicle?
Yeah, so they can see.
So they can see behind them.
Yeah,
but
exactly. They don't have a rear view mirror above but they don't have a rear view mirror above the dashboard.
Why do you think these people who, these hideous people who tow caravans around, why do you think they have a collection of 4 or 5 mirrors
which
on the top of their car so they can see beyond the caravan at the back?
Which tells you that it's not a requirement to have a rear view mirror.
It certainly is.
No, it isn't. You're wrong.
It is. No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Well,
I know everything about the highway code.
Carl says you don't need a rear view mirror. They're a bit useless in lorries and vans that don't have a back window to see out of.
No, you see, I don't understand it all. Lorries, in fact, can be equipped with a mirror which is positioned below the vehicle, below the front axle, to see
underneath.
Yes, absolutely.
See if anybody's hanging on to the bottom.
Well, absolutely.
To see if, like, Indiana Jones might be hanging on to it.
Well, they could be, because these days...
Do you call that a rear-view mirror as well?
Illegal immigrants tend to cling onto the underneath of lorries sometimes, which is, not the best way to get around.
Now, how about this one from Sue in Tunbridge?
Sue in Tunbridge,
who listens to the show regularly. She's texted into 81089.
Right.
Dear Two Mike, she says, I think I've sussed Porky's problem. He has short man syndrome, hence he has to try and appear more powerful than all he meets.
That's an idiotic interpretation. Now, who's that? Sue?
Sue in Tunbridge.
Sue, you're a very valued listener. Thank you very much indeed. But I'm afraid that is way off the mark. I do not have short man syndrome for two reasons. One, I'm not short. Two, I don't have any problem about my place in society in relation to everybody else. I know exactly where I stand, and when you're at the summit end of life rather than the basement end of life, you don't have problems, believe me.
Now, do you remember that other fan of yours, Lindsay?
Lindsay with the mousy hair?
Lindsay with the mousy hair, yeah. Well, she tweeted a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, Mike Parry, I do not have mousy bloody hair, and I'm very sorry to say you were not standing at a lowered step at Portsmouth. So what she's saying is that actually you are less than she is, which is 5'7".
No.
And you're smaller than her in the picture.
No, that's...
She really upset her. Look, she doesn't have mousy hair.
Well, what colour is her hair in that picture?
It's blonde.
Look, salt and pepper, mousy, blonde, that's all the same colour to me.
That's not salt and pepper,
Okay.
that's blonde.
No, I'm not sure about that. But, I mean, it's dyed.
Anyway, you've upset her.
But it's dyed. Look,
you now say she's got dyed blonde hair.
I do not wish to upset any of our listeners, so I'm very... What's her name again?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, I'm very sorry if
it's a very genuine apology, this, Lindsay.
If you took my interpretation the wrong way, it's just that clearly your hair is dyed, which I haven't got a problem with. Women should always dye their hair. In fact, actually, I saw a piece the other day in one of those women's fashion magazines.
What were you doing reading a women's fashion magazine?
I read everything. And
which one was it?
A woman said she'd been going out with men for 10 years, and no man has ever sussed out what the proper colour of her hair is. I think it was Vogue.
Really?
Yeah, it was Vogue. I was reading someone in Vogue because
she never slept with any of them.
Sorry?
She never slept with any of them.
Of course she slept with them, but none of them ever knew the original colour of her hair. Now listen, I need to tell you about a mission.
How about this? No, just before you do.
Okay.
MS says this. Why don't you get Porky to sit on the front seat and hold the mirror so you can have both hands on the steering wheel? That's the best idea I've heard all night.
Well,
you hang around till 6 o'clock and you can help me, because that's what friends are supposed to be for.
Yeah.
You're supposed to help your mate out.
Yeah,
and help
I am helping you out. I'm making sure you don't take that car on the road and go around killing people because you can't see backwards.
No. Well, I've got two rear-view mirrors on either side of the vehicle, haven't I?
No.
So I'm fine.
No.
You just said I've got rear-view mirrors on the outside of the vehicle.
You don't know how to use wing mirrors.
What do you mean I don't know how to use them?
You've never been trained how to use them. I have. When I used to drive the Corona Pop lorry, I used to have to go backwards around little sort of corners and curves on these council estates.
Corners?
Well, because you're delivering people's pop to their back door.
What, to the scum?
I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, do you have to refer to, millions of our listeners in those sort of terms?
That was your reference, not mine.
Now, listen, did you watch Serena Williams and Sharapova today?
No.
It was so predictable. I'm sorry.
You gave her the old Porky jinx, didn't you, Sharapova? I told you that she wasn't going to win.
It was so predictable. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Serena Williams swept through the first set, 6-2, I think it was, just blew her away.
Yeah.
And then Sharapova comes out, makes a game of it in the second half. But it wasn't much of a game of it anyway. I think she lost 7-5 or something like that. But, I mean, these women get equal money with the men for really what was an exhibition match this afternoon.
Well, I'm sure that Sharapova wouldn't say it was an exhibition
match.
Well,
I thought it was.
And neither would Serena Williams. I mean, they're both playing very, very hard tennis.
Yes.
They're both exerting themselves. They may not be playing
they played two sets.
Best of 5 sets.
They played 2 sets, and frankly, it was so predictable. And the other thing is, women's tennis has lost its balance a bit. That was the 17th time they've played, and the 16th on the trot.
No, was it not the 19th time they've played?
No.
I thought it was 17-2, wasn't it? Yesterday, wasn't that the...
No. It was 17 in total. It was 15-2. This was the 18th one. 17-2. So it's 16-2 now. And you just know now, every time Serena Williams plays Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams is going to win.
Yeah. Well, I told you all this yesterday.
It's so predictable.
Well, I told you all this yesterday when you were rabbiting on about how it was this great rivalry.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not rivalry at all. In fact, her coach said it wasn't rivalry.
But it was... But what I can't get is Sharapova's the highest paid sportswoman in the world, but she loses. I mean, I know she's won a few things. Obviously, she's won. But the way that it goes now with Sharapova is this. Oh, thank God Serena's been knocked out on the other half of the draw. I might have a chance of winning now. Because if she ever comes up against Serena Williams, she just doesn't win.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's almost like... it's almost like a falsified position. It's like a blocking mechanism that Sharapova will never win if Serena Williams goes as far as she does in a tournament.
Right.
really, really odd. Having said that, Murray and Federer today is going to be brilliant. It's going to be a classic, an absolute classic.
And as I've said to you, many people backed me up yesterday, there'll be a lot of people rooting for Federer, even though Andy Murray is, of course, British.
Well, I think that's a despicable and disloyal way to look at things. I'll be rooting for Andy Murray in a big way. Andy Murray will win, of that I'm sure. I'll have a bet with anybody that Andy Murray's going to win. It's all very well. Federer's, people say, Federer's cruising through the competition like a galleon under full sail, like a purring Rolls Royce. He's immaculate. Well, he hasn't played anybody of any consequence yet. Literally,
Federer?
Yeah, hasn't played anybody of any consequence.
You might say neither was Murray.
No, Murray has. Murray has
played of any consequence.
But Murray looks the more impressive. Murray will get through. Then he'll play Djokovic in the final.
Yeah.
And old Djokovic is not playing well at all. So I think Murray has got a great chance to add to his Wimbledon title haul, make it double it to 2.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, take a chill pill for a second.
No.
We're talking non-stop.
No,
I'm going to ask you about
no.
the sanctity of your heart. We've got more stuff coming in here from some very, very expert people on the driving front.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Ronnie, who's an MOT tester. Right?
Oh, Ronnie, the MOT tester.
Yeah.
Hey,
See,
Ronnie.
Would you say you look down on somebody's MOT tester?
No, not at all.
I can tell by the tone of your voice.
No, I don't.
You think you're further up the social scale than Ronnie, don't you?
So Ronnie's role in life is to get into a car, switch on the windscreen wipers.
Very important job.
And then they go, and then switch them off and say, right, the windscreen wipers work. That's a challenging job.
It's a
challenging job.
See, now you're insulting the man.
Ronnie's job is to get under the car, get somebody to start, and then, right, okay, yes, that's okay. The noise box
These are the guys that make sure. Hang on, these are the guys that make sure that cars are on the road and are roadworthy.
The noise box on the silencer works, says Ronnie. So that's okay.
The noise box.
Good. Yes.
Not sure that's what it's called.
Yeah, well, the silencer on the exhaust.
No.
That's working.
Listen to what he has to say.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
He's texted into 81089.
What's he going to say? Is he going to say something like, check that your bulbs are all working and your lights, because that's another important thing Ronnie does, isn't it?
Well, Ronnie, I'm terribly sorry about this, Ronnie. I didn't mean to have you lambasted by this complete and utter snob to my right.
Yeah.
Porky is talking rubbish, says Ronnie, the MOT tester. As usual, the minimum requirement for a car to pass an MOT is that it has a driver's 1 offside and centre or near side, 2 out of 3. From the mirror's point of view. So as long as you've got the other 2, the centre one doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I regard it's unsafe to drive without a rear view mirror.
I regard you as objectionable. It doesn't mean I can get you beaten to death by a horde of angry sort of penguin fancies.
You'd like to do that? You've already threatened. You've threatened to disable me tonight.
Absolutely.
You threatened in the first 10 minutes of the show to put me in a wheelchair.
No, I did not.
An outrageous.
No, you're making that up.
No, I'm not.
You said you were going to disable my car.
Yeah.
I said I would disable you.
Yeah, well, disablement means being disabled. Means wheelchair territory. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, such a violent, vitriolic verbal outburst.
Listen to this from Paul in Mitcham.
You don't deserve to be on radio.
Paul in Mitcham says, Virgil was a Roman poet, not a Greek philosopher. More gibberish from the Portmeister.
I knew that.
You said he was Greek.
I didn't. I said he was an ancient man.
Yeah. Here's what, an ancient man?
Yeah.
He's not older. He's not really old, is he?
No, he's
alive.
An ancient philosopher.
Porky, how do lorries and vans get on without rear-view mirrors? Porky the plonker, says Dean, the lorry driver.
No.
Roy says, Porky is wrong. Under the Road Traffic Act, a vehicle must have 2 working mirrors, and one of them must be the driver's wing mirror.
Yes.
A police van only has the 2 wing mirrors. I'm a police officer in the Met, so I know I'm right.
Yeah.
Are you going to insult him, Roy, the police officer?
No. I'm sure he knows some of what he's talking about, and if he's half as good as Jack Regan in The Sweeney, then I'll take my hat off to him. But if he's one of these guys who goes around chasing journalists, who allegedly seek information from reliable sources, then I think he should change his division.
Absolutely unbelievable stuff. Here's Mike Parry. Of course, I'm Mike Graham. We're the 2 Mikes. More coming up.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
A vision of love, wearing boxing gloves and singing hearts and flowers.
This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. There is a Porky quiz on the Romans, which doesn't bode too well since Porky's already got Virgil's antecedents wrong, but never mind. Coming up right now, we're going to talk to Paul Dalgleish, former Liverpool youth player, current manager of the Austin Aztecs in the United Soccer League. Paul, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, not at all. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We've got a few things to talk to you about tonight. Actually, there's a story on the back page of The Mirror, and I thought I'd just ask you this as a manager and a former player, about Steve McLaren. Headline says Angels of the North. Apparently he's banning all swearing at Newcastle. He's told the players he doesn't want to hear them swearing or else he's going to fine them. That sounds quite drastic, but why do you think he's going to do that, and will it have any success?
That was going to be my question to you. Did he give a reason for why? What's the benefit of doing that?
Yeah, no, he hasn't. He hasn't really. I mean, I can only assume that it's step one of trying to get a bit more discipline into the team or something.
Well, to be fair, us footballers aren't the best linguists, so we wouldn't have many words left. I mean, it's going to be hard to communicate with each other if we can't swear.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Paul, it brings into focus, really, a problem I think's existed in football for a long time, and that is that if a group of players like yourself are suddenly under the control of a foreign manager who doesn't really speak very good English, the only universal language is the swearing language, isn't it? Everybody knows the F word and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I think is largely responsible for this idea that it's acceptable because it's a universal language.
Yeah, and sometimes you've got to realise it. In my opinion, you've got to realise you're dealing with grown men, and these at the end of the day, he's not the mother, and if if at the end of the if he's successful doing it, then maybe everyone will start doing it. But in my opinion, it's sometimes you've got to be careful as a manager that you don't try and control too much.
Well, that was the problem that Paolo Di Canio had, wasn't it, at Sunderland, when he banned tomato ketchup from
all that kind of nonsense,
from the team cafeteria and all that kind of thing.
Sure.
But I mean, will the players? I mean, because if you're looking at Newcastle's performances last year, they had a pretty miserable season, and he has to kind of try and rebuild something from the bottom up, doesn't he? I mean, what can he do to try and get a grip of them?
Well, I mean, I think there's obviously there's a lot of things that he needs to do, and I think there's probably a lot of things that he is doing, but obviously it's a bigger story if he's stopping swearing, if in fact it is true, But for me, there's good players at Newcastle, and I think Newcastle is a pretty similar place to Liverpool, where the pressure of expectation in the city is so big that if things are going well, that it can be one of the best places in the world to play football. But when things aren't going well at Liverpool and Newcastle, they're pretty similar in the fact that all of a sudden everything gets scrutinised because the clubs are, they're so passionate, the fans, and it means so much to them that it can be the best place in the world, or it can be the most difficult place in the world. And I think the most important thing for Steve McLaren there is to get off to a good start and get the place jumping again, because it's a pretty special place to be when things are going well.
The only problem is, Paul, that he hasn't got a clue what the strength of the backing from the board will be for him this season, has he? Because it's so remote, that board. They're such... They're businessmen in charge of such a huge business, Sports Direct and all the associated retailing outlets, that football becomes a very, very small part of their empire, and they have it for the usefulness of retailing rather than football. And so a manager working in that sort of vacuum, I think, is on a loser from the start. What you want to do after every game is go to the man who pulls the purse strings, runs the club, owns the club, and say, look, we're going to need more investment, this didn't work, that didn't work. And you just don't do that at Newcastle. You're living in a land of faceless people.
Well, my answer to that is don't take the job in the first place.
That's right. I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
So you've got once if you take any job, then I think it was Harry Redknapp said that the best advice you could give to any young managers was don't pick the club, pick the owners.
Yeah.
And for me,
that's
it's
great.
and I think for me, it's you know what you're signing up for before you take any job, and it's up to you to make the right decision in the first place.
Talking of places filled with passion for football, Liverpool and Liverpool fans are getting heartily sick of these sort of daily Raheem Sterling stories again, aren't they? I mean, not turning up to training, saying he doesn't want to go on the pre-season tour. It seems to be being dragged out. Is there nothing Liverpool can do to kind of speed this whole thing up?
Well, for me, I don't think it's as black and white as everyone's making out. Everyone's picking a side, and there's a villain and there's a good guy, But to be fair, the question I always have is who's leaking the information? how do we all know that this is going on? I mean, when I grew up as a Liverpool fan, this type of thing would have gone on, but nobody knew about it. And for me, that's the difference between Liverpool Football Club then and Liverpool Football Club now is, it's okay. There's been hundreds of people that are unhappy to be at a club or want to move in the past, but it's not all been done in public. And for me, the most concerning thing is that, I've got no idea who's releasing all the information, but it seems to be as soon as anything happens that it's launched on social media and then it's in the papers and we're all talking about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but Paul, we have to assume that people in the Raheem Sterling camp, it's to their advantage for this to go public because it's more unsettling.
Not really.
Well, it is because it's more unsettling to Liverpool Football Club. You see, if I've got any criticism of the situation here, Paul, it is that Liverpool, who are a massive organisation, a massive presence within the world of football, they should have got a grip on this situation early on and started taking the initiative. They're on the back foot all the time. Raheem Sterling calls in sick. Oh, how will Liverpool react to that? Raheem Sterling's agent says he's never going to sign for Liverpool for $900,000 a week. Oh, how will Liverpool Football Club react to that? What should be happening is Liverpool Football Club should be marching forward and saying there's no place for Raheem Sterling, Liverpool Football Club anymore. We don't like his attitude. We only want people to play for this club who want to wear the red shirt. And then Raheem Sterling's on the back foot.
Yeah, but here's the other thing as well, is other clubs are looking at the way it's being dealt with and are thinking, do I want this at my club? And then it's also driving the price down of Raheem Sterling when all this is going on. So it doesn't benefit either party for it to be done in public.
It does. The cheaper Raheem Sterling is, the more likely to go to Manchester City. And Liverpool themselves, hang on, Paul, have not been influenced by the individual behaviour of a footballer who's had a bad time at another club. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed Mario Balotelli. So, they're immune to thinking, his bad behaviour will mean that he's not as attractive to other clubs. It doesn't work like that, as you know.
Yeah, but it does for some people, and there's certain people that might be turned off by this being dealt with in public, thinking, is it going to become a circus if he comes to our club? And for me, I think I don't know who's releasing the information, whether what side it is, or maybe it's a combination of both. But for me, it's just for me as a Liverpool fan, it just seems that we always seem to be involved in controversy, and just when when things are going well, then there just seems to be another controversy coming around the corner, and it's almost like we're a soap opera at times, and that's not how it used to be.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
A big weekend finally, Paul, for MLS. We got Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard making their debuts for their clubs respectively. Big weekend. How excited are the American public about both of them? Steven, although he was younger than me, I had the privilege of watching him play close up when we were at Liverpool together. He's just a true great of the game, and so is Lampard. I've never had the privilege of working with Frank, but they're two absolute legends of the game, and obviously they're coming over in the twilight years of the career, but it'd have been great if they could have come 5 years ago, but the level of the Premier League dictates that the best players stay there, and then we only get the chance to get them in America at the end of the careers. But it's going to be an absolute privilege to see them here, and Pirlo as well is another big name that's joined as well. So three absolute, truly undisputed world-class players are going to be playing in MLS, and even if it's at the end of the career, it's going to be a joy to watch them. Yeah, well, given there's no football on here, you might want to watch that here, Mr. Parry. Paul, thanks very much indeed. Paul Douglas. You won't watch MLS football?
No.
Why not?
It's third-rate football.
Third rate?
Yeah, of course it is.
You think so?
Yeah, don't you?
Well, I've watched a couple of the games when they've been pre-season kind of friendly type games with some Premier League teams.
I can't take it seriously, frankly.
It's all right,
And all's that
in the absence, I mean, people were watching all sorts of different things. I mean, you were watching the Women's World Cup, which you wouldn't ordinarily have watched if it was on during the regular season.
That was out of a sense of patriotism. I wouldn't have been watching it had England not gone so far.
Okay.
I mean, for instance, I didn't watch the America-Japan final.
No, of course not. Even though you've been a great supporter of women's football.
Well, I'm a great supporter of women's football, but I'm even more a supporter of women's football when the English team, which is my team, are involved. I don't see, an awful... I mean, I prefer, frankly, if MLS is on over the weekend, I would get greater comfort out of watching some reruns of Columbo episodes.
Would you?
Because I think they're better. They're more exciting.
Yeah, okay.
More exciting to me.
Even though you already know what's going to happen.
Well, no, yeah, you say that, you see, but not always. I like to pick out the intricacies of the plot. The third or fourth time I watch, I see something new, which I hadn't seen before.
Right.
At the moment, by the way, because we did a quiz on this a couple of weeks ago.
You did very well at Columbo.
The Sweeney is rerunning. The Sweeney's rerunning again, yeah. Yeah, and I do like those plots, I have to say. They're very, very good as well. Do you know they only ever filmed 5 minutes of the Sweeney in a day's filming?
Is that right?
Yeah, it used to take 2 weeks. Because
to do each episode?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, well, it used to take 4 weeks to do each episode.
Yeah.
A week for casting, 2 weeks of filming, and a week for editing, believe it or not.
That sounds like an awful lot of work for such a small reward.
And a 50-minute programme was filmed over 10 working days, Monday to Friday, over 2 weeks, 5 minutes a day.
Do you know they filmed it around here quite a bit, around Southwark?
Well, they filmed a lot of it on the edge of the River Thames because it was all derelict warehouses in those days.
Yeah,
that's
right.
right.
Chiswick a lot as well.
Yes, that's right,
Now, just one a tweet to read out to you.
Right,
from Peter.
okay.
He says, never mind a Red Bull, as Porky switched sniffing saltpeter candles for sniffing methamphetamine. Porky the manic grass.
What's that?
Methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
I'll
What's
explain
that?
it to you later.
Well, you don't need to explain it to me. It's just if it's a nefarious substance, I don't want to know.
No, of course.
Okay.
He's Mike Parry.
I don't like nefarious substances.
Do you?
No, I don't.
Make up your mind.
No, I said I don't like nefarious substances.
I thought you said you did like them.
No, I want nothing to do with them.
Okay. This is Talk Sport.
And he wakes to find the fire's dead and arrows in his hats. And Davy Crockett rides around and says it's cool for cats, it's cool for cats.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and as we said earlier, there will be a Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on. We're going to be talking to a man about living on a floating city in the next hour, which will be quite interesting. Because
quite interesting, that, Floating to, where does it float?
Well, it depends where you put it.
Oh, I see, right, okay,
It's just the idea.
So you tow it around the world a bit, do you?
Well, you don't tow it around the world, no, but you actually start the process of building cities
on
the water.
Right, okay, not a bad idea.
A bit like Boris's airport.
Yeah, not a bad idea,
now, a quick one here from Darren.
Oh, yeah.
It says, Porky says he's an advocate of women's football, except for the Women's World Cup final.
Yes.
Hashtag cherry picker.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean,
he's got a point.
Listen. Everton have got a women's football team. I'll take a big interest in that as well. Don't worry about that.
No, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Now, the cool for cats thing, right?
Cool for cats,
it's not very cool for cats for me at the moment. That's why I'm playing that record.
Okay,
no.
why?
Well, because when you live in a penthouse, you don't expect to see a cat in your garden.
Yeah. Well, hang on, is this the same cat that you made the faces at and scared off?
Yes.
So it's come back, is it?
It's come back. It's no longer scared of me.
Evil cat.
So, evil cat, and action's got to be taken.
Right.
Now, initially what I've done is I've sprayed ammonia and disinfectant and all sorts of stuff all over the walls.
Have you worked out where the cat's coming from?
Yeah, it's coming from the penthouse diagonally opposite to mine.
Right.
So it's...
so it's a fellow penthouse dweller.
Yeah, but what's happened is the penthouse people in my block are very responsible, except for one of the guys has now gone abroad.
Yeah.
So he's let his flat out.
Oh, I see.
Now, I don't think he will know that the people who've moved in have got a cat.
Because normally it says no pets, doesn't it? When you rent out?
Cats destroy your home.
Yeah.
They urinate over your curtains, they urinate over your carpet. They don't use the toilet facilities you give them. Well, this cat is not properly trained. I'm going to tell you why.
It's a road cat.
Yeah, it's a road cat. It's a tabby cat. It's a spitting, evil, nasty, vicious, could attack you type cat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
And I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to sort it out.
But why does it keep coming to your roof terrace?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's very cruel to keep a cat in a penthouse that's only got a roof garden.
Yeah.
And so it leaps out of its owner's roof garden into my roof garden.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Right.
Because it's looking for space. Or
maybe looking for chasing birds or something like that.
Well, that's another thing. We have a lot of birds who flutter around, and one of my neighbours there has got a bird thing with seed in it, so the cat's hanging around waiting to get the birds and all that. It's very unpleasant. So anyway, I started off by... And this cat leaves its deposit in my garden, which is the worst thing. And my housekeeper, has to sort it all out and all that kind of thing. It's very unpleasant business. So, first of all, we put down the old ammonia and bleach spray, okay?
Right.
That's on the top of the walls and all that kind of stuff.
What happens to the cat if he touches that then?
Well, I think the idea is not to harm the cat, but it gets it smells the bleach
and doesn't come near it.
And doesn't come near it. That's the hope.
Is it supposed to form like a barrier then? Or something?
Yeah, it's supposed to. Yeah. And also, of course, what keeps them away are those jangling things. You know what I mean? Those things that jangle in the wind. Yeah, wind chimes, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But nevertheless, the cat is still about. So I've had to take more professional action.
Oh, what? So the bleach didn't work? You mean?
Well, it worked, but I'm still not convinced that the cat is totally frightened of coming in my garden, you see. So, anyway.
The problem is, if they've marked it as their territory...
Well, this is the problem.
Then they'll keep coming back.
This is the problem. So, anyway, So I rang up an expert today, and tomorrow I'm going to a pet shop and I'm buying an electronic anti-cat system.
An electronic anti-cat, that sounds a bit drastic.
No, well, it is. I think it is,
What, you mean like an electric fence or something?
Yeah, it's like an electric fence, but it sends out electric shocks.
Anti-cat system?
Yes.
It sounds very complicated.
Well, no, it's not. Apparently it's not, you know, as long as you've got
Is
a
it
lot
like,
of
do you know those things you can buy? Because one of our friends in the States had them, where you could buy like these sort of little posts that you stick in the ground.
Right.
And they carry an electric current, but there's no actual wire that connects them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're really clever. And he used to keep his dog sort of, effectively it's an invisible fence.
So it's like a cat, like the sort of fence you put around cattle.
Yeah, it's like a force field.
Yeah, I see.
Like.
Yeah,
but it's not actually physically a fence, so you can make it into any shape you want.
Oh, well, it might be that.
I mean, but this was things that would go in the ground, in the garden.
So
probably wouldn't be any good for bricks and mortar.
No, but I'll find a way of doing it.
But that could be that kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be that sort of thing. Yeah, and also you get this special paint that you now paint on the walls, and it's translucent.
Right.
But it is.
So it doesn't change the colour.
Doesn't change the colour, but it is absolutely repellent to cats.
Right.
So they won't come anywhere near.
Right.
So all that's being done tomorrow. The housekeeper's coming around to sort all that out.
So who's going to paint the walls then?
Oh, the housekeeper.
She's going to do that.
Part of her job.
Is it toxic? This stuff?
Well, I
Will
think
you provide her with a face mask and all
well,
that?
I won't, but I mean, wherever she picked it up from will probably, and that sort of thing.
Well, you might want to make sure that she's not, inhaling any toxic
Oh, well, no,
fumes.
I wouldn't like her to, obviously, because then she wouldn't be able to clean my house, would she?
No, and she wouldn't be able to finish the job either.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But that's all started.
And is it going to have you seen this electronic device, though?
No.
Has it got one of those? Because ideally, I suppose what you might want is one of those kind of dials where you could just sort of
turn it up.
Yeah, turn it up. To
well, I don't want to harm the cat. I just want
7.
I'm an animal lover.
Yeah, I know that.
I've no
You've said
wish.
that many times.
It's not the cat's fault. It's not the cat's fault. Its owners have put it in the wrong place.
Well, can you not go and have a word with the owner?
Oh, I have had a word with the
Have
owner.
you?
Yeah.
So what? He's a renter, is he, in this place?
Yeah, he's the renter. Yeah, I've shouted across the wall and said, "Yeah, can you please?" He says it's not my cat, and I said, "Well, I've lived here 12 years. We've never had a cat here before. I've never seen a cat up here. Why would a cat live in the heavens here until you brought one? It's your cat. Please discipline it and keep it from desecrating my garden. Because if you don't, I will."
Right.
And he said, "He's a threat to me." And I said, yeah. What are you laughing at?
Because of the way you said it.
Yeah.
Is he Greek, this guy?
No, I don't know what he is, because I haven't got to know him very well.
Right.
And
well, what if he's telling the truth and it's not his cat?
Well, it is his cat.
Well, how do you know it is?
Well,
have you seen it going into his house?
I've seen him coming out of his house.
Have you?
I've seen him coming out of his garden, yeah.
Really?
I know it's his cat. Anyway, it's, as I say, in 12 years, I've never seen any other cats at, 40,000 feet and all that kind of stuff. So it's ridiculous to think it's anybody else's cat.
Here's one from Bantam Belcher. It says, Mike, is Porky sure about where the cat comes from? It could be the cat with tuberculosis coming after him. Remember that cat with tuberculosis that was going to run up the M1?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Everybody.
Probably still running.
I don't think they ever caught that cat.
Yeah, no, I don't think they ever did, no. And they was going to spread tuberculosis all over the place. But look, people can be so, A, thoughtless with their pets, and B, blind to the problems pets cause to other people.
Yes.
Absolutely blind. The attitude, see, my neighbour, the other neighbour, who's a lady, she's complained to the woman in the apartment that's got the cat, and her attitude was, "What's it got to do with you? If I want a cat, I've got a cat."
Well, hang on. So there's another cat in the building?
No. The one cat has a male owner and a female owner.
Oh, I see.
I spoke to the male owner,
Right.
and my neighbour, who is female, spoke to the female owner.
I see, right.
And her attitude, and by the way, they've got 3 children, including a toddler.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they selected a penthouse for themselves, 2 adults, 3 children.
And have they got a roof garden similar size to yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's not very roomy. I mean, without any disrespect, it's not very roomy for 3 kids, is it?
Well, I don't think so. And one of them's a toddler, so he needs prams and all that kind of stuff. There's no lift on that side of the building. It's just a series of staircases, So I don't know why on earth they got in there.
Yeah.
For what they're paying for that place, 'cause it's a penthouse, they could get a little house somewhere with a garden.
Right.
So I don't know what they're up to.
I mean, is it not possible? I ask one more time, finally, that the cat does not belong to them?
No, the cat does belong to them.
Are you certain it's from there?
I'm absolutely certain. They are not denying ownership. What they're denying is what that cat is doing. That cat is using my roof garden as a loo, which I object to strenuously, obviously, for health reasons and every other reason. It's desecrating my plants. It's urinating in the garden, which I don't want it to do.
Yeah.
And
see, I think you'll have terrible trouble, because I had a problem in a previous house where there was one of those old ladies that lived across the street who had about 15 cats.
Oh, it's terrible.
And
they'd all be mangy and manky.
Well, they were
and they carry fleas, and all this kind of stuff.
And one or two of them started coming into the garden, and as you say, desecrating it. And literally, we couldn't stop them.
Right.
There was no way to stop it happening.
Yeah.
Because once they start,
Yeah.
you know, they just keep going.
Yeah, but you see, you know, I am a seeker of truth and justice, and when a problem arises, I have to get it sorted. I will sort this one way or the other. And
Can you not complain to the board of whatever the
Oh,
building
yeah,
property
I
is?
have. But unfortunately, I found in the sublease and all this kind of stuff, they do not have a rule which says you cannot have pets, right? Because that's too draconian, apparently, that can be turned over. But they do have a rule saying they cannot have pets that cause nuisance to other residents or other owner-occupiers or something like that. So I've already got hold of the old management people and said, well, in that case, the rules are being breached. To which they say, of course, because they're weak, miserable people who don't do their job properly. And
I thought you ran this place. I thought you were on the board of this thing.
Only on the residents one, but not the management one.
Oh, I see.
But, you know, they steal a living by basically shrugging their shoulders to every problem. This is what management companies do all the time, you know. And their attitude now is, well, OK, but you've got to provide us with the evidence to back that up. I said, what evidence?
And it becomes some ridiculously long, drawn-out thing,
Oh, then, you know, pictures of the cat in your garden, videos of the cat desecrating your garden, times, dates. I mean, nobody's got time to do that, you know. Just go and find the guy, tell him he shouldn't have a cat in an apartment 5 floors up and tell him to get his life together. Yeah. But they won't do that.
No, they won't.
Yeah.
Now, quite a lot of people have got things to say about this cat business. Ian says this, please explain, Mike Parry, how you discipline a cat. I can see this neighbour now telling the cat not to go into Mike's garden.
Yes.
You know, I suppose he's saying that you can't necessarily train a cat not to do that.
No, I know you can't.
Steve.
So that's why I'm afraid the cat's going to have to get a bit of a nasty shock when it gets a bolt of electricity up its jacksie.
Yeah.
when it next leaks into my garden.
Can you control the wattage on that?
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt the cat.
You don't want to turn it up too high.
Don't want to hurt the cat, but it needs to be dissuaded.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Steve says, he says, try this. He says, try putting a bottle of water in a clear container in your garden. Cats don't like the reflection and stay away.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
That's worth trying, isn't it?
Yeah, the other one I thought of doing is, you know, as a kid, when I was brought up in the northwest of England, when somebody was trying to protect something inside their backyard or their garden, they break a few bottles and then get some cement and plant the broken glass along the top of the wall.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for cats.
Well, I think it will.
Cats are very deft at getting around that.
No, I don't think they will.
Also, they just jump over it, wouldn't they?
Well, it has to walk quite a long way from along the top of a wall to drop down into my garden.
Yeah.
So if I put broken glass all over the top the top, I think that should be deterrent, because a cat wouldn't want to cut its paws. No, I wouldn't want it to cut its paws either.
I think a cat would jump over that.
I
think cats are too clever for that.
Yeah.
Lee says this, Mike, the cat's going on Porky's roof garden to see if it's big enough to swing a cat, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And Tom says, I know why the cat's using Porky's roof garden as a toilet. Yeah. It's the same size as one.
No, don't be ridiculous, you know. I mean, look, you know, I would appreciate some more constructive advice, please, to get rid of the cat so the cat doesn't get harmed. I mean, for instance, I did think, you know, you see these things at railway stations where they put anti-pigeon little spikes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, just rows of spikes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, well, I can put those along the top of the wall, can't I? And then the cat wouldn't be able to walk along there.
Cats are very clever, though.
Yeah,
they would somehow figure out a way of getting under it or over it.
They are, but put it this way.
Cunning.
I have the same philosophy as deterring burglars. Yeah. If you make your front door so strong they can't get through it, they'll go and bash up somebody else's front door.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
if I make my garden so inaccessible...
Just pass the cat onto someone else.
Absolutely.
Why should you care?
Yeah, I'd like the cat to go into somebody else's garden, not mine, you know. I don't want a filthy feline cat desecrating my garden and using my garden as a toilet. Yeah, no, I don't.
It sounds like it's holding like black mass in the garden or something.
Yeah, I want it to be, favourised from coming into my garden. Go and use somebody else's garden. Not everybody cares as much about their garden as I do. I've just had mine done. It's beautiful. It could win an award. I'm not telling you.
I think you should enter it in something.
Whenever I go into my roof garden, I look at it and I think, God, this reminds me of Britain's best village display.
Does it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. It's beautiful.
You could maybe enter it into one of those award ceremonies that Weatherspoon's going for, like the British Pig Executive or something.
I put out pictures of it last weekend and I got, thousands of responses saying what a fantastic floral display it was. Well, I don't want to catch you in all those, do I?
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
Becky says this, Porky the animal lover now threatens cats with electrocution, poisonous paint, in addition to bleach and ammonia. RSPCA, beware.
No, I have said I do not want to harm the animal.
No.
But that animal's getting on my nerves.
That you wanted to fire some volts up its jacksie.
Well, yeah, OK, but I mean, that was just an expression to say, it needs to know who the boss is. And when it comes to me and a cat, it's obvious who the boss is. There's only one winner. There's only one winner of them cats. They don't realise what they're taking on here, I'm telling you. They soon will.
This is Talk Sport, we are the two mics. We've got lots of text coming into 81089. You can email us as well via the website talksport.com. A couple of ideas for you, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Parry, we bought a small device for about £50, says Wayne in Coventry. Sends out high-frequency sounds that humans can't hear.
Yeah.
We've never had a problem since, and that was about 18 months ago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that advice.
So that's not bad. Here's one that says, from Fraser in Gloucester, he says, you won't stop the pesky cat, Porky. Your only course of action is to take the stray in and make it yours. Then it will not use your garden, but will start using a different one.
You must be joking.
Which is sort of reverse psychology.
I wouldn't have a flea-ridden cat in my apartment.
Does it look flea-ridden? Does it look like a nice domestic cat? Well, maybe it is a stray cat.
No, it's not a stray cat. It belongs to the people who've rented the apartment across the way.
All right.
No, there's no doubt about it.
Final one from Zach in Plymouth. Mike, put a sprinkler in your garden. Cats hate getting wet, and after a week it should get the hint.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have a water squirter on hand, so if I ever see the cat, I just pick it up and go and give it a squirt, because water can't harm a cat. They might not like it, which is good to go away, but I wouldn't spray toxic substances at the cat or anything like that. It's not the cat's fault. It's the owners of the cat. You know, they always say that a gun isn't lethal. It's the person who holds the gun that is lethal.
That's right.
And I say a cat is not evil. It's the people who own the cat who make it look evil because it's doing evil things because it's badly disciplined. Now, listen.
Do you want a couple more tips?
Yes,
here?
please.
Mark
I do.
says, Mike, the best way to deter cats is to spray antifreeze around your roof terrace. They hate that.
Antifreeze?
And it certainly solved my cat problem.
Antifreeze.
Antifreeze.
That's a great word. That's a good job. I've got some antifreeze downstairs in the old underground car park.
Okay.
Must get some of that up. That's a good idea.
Daz in Leicestershire says, here's a remedy. You can buy some sonars, which I think are the same as what the other guy was talking about, that only the cat can hear, and they hate it. You can get them for about 20 quid on the internet, or as you're a total cheapskate, you can fill a bottle with perfume water and lemon juice and spray the cat. It will clean itself and will hate the taste.
Perfume, water, and what?
And lemon juice.
And lemon juice.
Yeah.
I've got lots of lemon juice because I like putting lemon juice on my fish fingers.
All right. Well, if you mix
six or seven bottles of that, actually.
If you mix that with some perfume.
Yeah, perfume. I haven't got any perfume. That's aftershave, I suppose, would do.
You could spray some of that.
Yeah, excellent. That's
Anyway,
great. Well, thank you very much for all those hints. Now, listen, have you ever heard of a chap called Alexander Campbell?
Alexander Campbell. I don't believe so.
No.
Sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
No, this amazing guy, right? And he's going to be interviewed about cricket in the next couple of days, apparently. He's decided to do a round of interviews and all kind of stuff. But this guy's Australian.
Yeah.
But he is the first soloist with the Royal Ballet in Covent Garden.
Oh, is he? Okay.
And at 14, he had to choose going to the top cricket academy in Australia or take up a scholarship in ballet dancing. And he chose ballet dancing instead. Isn't that an amazing story?
No, it's an amazing story. It's kind of Billy Elliot-esque, isn't it?
It's Billy Elliot-esque, but also, in Australia, and I'm not in any way being critical of the Australians, but I should imagine that's a harder choice to make in Australia, even than it is in this country.
Yeah.
Because, cricket is such a religion in Australia.
It's macho culture there as well,
and the
isn't it?
idea that, you could one day wear the baggy green cap, but you decide to turn it down to pursue a future which you hope might become successful, and then you end up as the lead dancer for the Royal Ballet. That's an amazing story.
And presumably he's still a massive cricket fan then as well.
Well, he does, but he goes to the test matches. He actually, apparently, according to the stuff I've been reading, he does motivational speeches to cricketers because he is even more fit than the cricketers are. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he has this fantastic ballet career. You've got to be incredibly fit, but you're also more supple, and your movement is with more grace and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he actually talks to them and lectures them in the body shape type movements that you need to bat and bowl.
That's very interesting. Yeah, because I suppose if you watch the way that some cricketers play their shots,
yes,
it is quite
balletic.
It is quite a beautiful movement.
Yes,
in some ways,
exactly.
isn't it? Did you watch much of it yesterday?
I did watch as much as I could. I thought,
England are doing all right, aren't they?
Yeah, and old Mo and Ali. Well, they got off to a very poor start again. The other morning, I was here doing the paper review with Al and who was it? Dominic Cork.
Yeah.
And I made the point. You and I have been in tabloid newspapers all our lives. I made the point. I said, look, these headlines are maybe, could be, might be. And when they're bigging everybody up and saying, right, go and get them and all that, I said, these headlines could be out of date within 2 hours of the game starting. And sure enough, within 2 hours of the game starting, we lost 3 wickets.
Yeah.
So, but then, of course, Joe Root took root, so to speak, and it all turned itself round. And they're in a very favourable position. Old Mo and Ali.
He's all over the back pages. He's the hero of the moment,
He's been terrific, hasn't he? With bat and ball, a terrific all-rounder.
I'll tell you what we didn't talk about. We were mentioning the swearing conversation last hour. Was this story in a lot of the papers about Mo Farah, who's being given a hard time for telling one of his fellow runners to F off.
On the track.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
Well, You see, I think every time you swear at somebody, you devalue the impact that swear word has.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you and I have worked for... I mean, I worked for one editor once, so foul-mouthed, he didn't know any other words, you know what I mean? Right. And after about, 3 days, the impact of that wears off because that's all he ever used to say.
Sure.
And it was very, very funny, you know, when people used to... shout back at him in that sort of language. He'd sack people sometimes for their bad language and all that kind of stuff. You know,
really?
Yeah,
a bit of a double standard.
Oh, he was a complete half.
I mean, people will say. I mean, what we haven't had yet, which I'm quite surprised about, is some people when we have this conversation about swearing will say, "Yeah, but hang on a second, you guys do this live show in which you occasionally swear. We don't swear a lot."
No.
But I always say about that people have paid money to come and see what they realise is a kind of a show which is an adult themed show.
Yeah, but
so it's not the same as swearing at a football match.
Half a dozen swear words in a 1.5 hour show are there for emphasis.
Yeah.
They're not there to be gratuitously offensive to the audience or to be foul-mouthed, potty-mouthed. They actually contribute to part of the show. No, I'm talking about people who, you know, just spend all day walking up and down, shouting F this, F that, you this, you that, and all that kind of stuff. And they're just empty-headed non-entities, you know. But fortunately, that era seems to have sort of passed us by.
I don't think
seems to have gone now.
I don't think there's too many bosses in any business that get away with doing that kind of thing.
Well, they shouldn't, should they? Because it's intimidating and bullying to the rest. But that's what you know, weak and miserable people do. But anyway, there we are. Now, I wanted to tell you a great story, right?
Okay.
I want to tell you a great story. Did you know?
Sure we got time for it?
Well, okay.
Well, we can start it now.
No.
We can start it now, and then we can carry it on.
No, because I haven't responded to what you said to me about Mo Farah, who, according to a newspaper report tomorrow morning, marred his winning return to the track last night by directing a foul-mouthed outburst at a British teammate. Right, he turned his back on fellow GB runner Andy Vernon.
Andy Vernon, yeah.
As Vernon went over to offer his congratulations after Farah won the 5,000 metre Diamond League race in Lausanne, which is in Switzerland, isn't it? I went to shake his hand. He turned his back on me and told me to off.
Yeah.
Vernon told us, "I'm glad you saw it. To not even be a sportsman and shake my hand." Well, there must be some history here
there
for obvious reasons.
Them, mustn't there? And Mo Farah's under a bit of pressure at the moment as well with all these allegations of doping and all the rest of it.
Yes, he is. Yeah. When I asked after the race if there was an issue with Vernon, Farah replied, "I don't know, not that I saw." It's all a bit odd, isn't it? Yeah. I mean,
there's definitely more to it than meets the eye.
Well, of course there is, but what's happened there is a private spat, a private feud has become very public all of a sudden, and now it's in the public arena.
Yeah.
We will want answers to the questions. What is behind all this? What has so upset one of the world's great athletes to the extent where he uses a profanity against a fellow competitor? I mean, for instance, even though you and I work in the same studio, I would never tell you to off because I don't feel that anything you do upsets me that much.
I
mean, a lot of what you do does upset me.
Which a lot of people would find extraordinary, actually.
You know, your timing is out a lot when I'm trying to get the show together and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And sometimes your inane responses to my rather brilliant observations do get on my nerves. Yes. But nevertheless, I wouldn't, I wouldn't get that sort of foul mouth towards you.
No, exactly right.
Yeah,
and I would say the same.
Yes,
You know, we've insulted each other plenty, but not necessarily with those particular words.
Mm.
Now, I'm looking forward to the story you're going to tell us now.
Yes, it's a great story.
We're going to wait.
It is one of the best stories that I have revealed to you during all the time we've been working in this new slot on this show. Believe me, it'll fascinate. It'll fascinate the audience. They'll be fascinated, absolutely fascinated.
Okay.
I'm going to tell them about the creation of something in this country which they would never even have thought of.
Okay. Well, that's all going to come up next.
Yes.
And, it's a fascinating story. Don't forget to listen to every word from Mr. Parry. It's coming up next on Talk. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and of course there will be a Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on, and there will be a podcast coming out about 7 hours from now.
Yeah.
Now, Trainspotting, that's a very famous signature tune now, isn't it?
That's right, it is,
Iggy Pop.
Look, this is absolutely amazing, right? Do you know who Ian Allen is?
Ian Allen?
Ian Allen.
No.
Right, Ian Allen's just died, okay? And I was reading his life story with great fascination. He is the man who single-handedly invented train spotting.
Invented it?
He invented it,
in this country?
In the world.
Right.
He invented it in the world, right?
Do you think it's something that it goes on around the world?
Well, it does. No, it goes on around the world. Now, this is not code word for anything else. I mean, I know train spotting, the film wasn't about train spotting, obviously, but I mean, that was the theme tune which you played.
Right.
But this guy, post-war Britain, Waterloo Station, 300 yards from the studios we're broadcasting from now, Waterloo Station in London. The guy was a clerk. and he was a clerk in the. I didn't even know they had one in those days. The public relations office, you know.
Yeah.
And he kept getting phone calls from people saying, did they know what the name of the train was that was going up to Newcastle that day or anything? And he'd say, why? And they said, well, you know, I'm very interested in trains. And he said, oh, really? That's interesting. So he got.
And what kind of era was that then? Was that in like the 60s or something?
No. It was immediate post-war, 1948, 1949, okay? And then the early 50s. So he went to his bosses and said, look, there seems to be an awful lot of interest in the trains that we have here, and people like to know what the name of the train is and what the gauge is and all this kind of stuff, you know, what rolling stock is. So he said, why don't I, as a public relations officer, I didn't even know they had PRs in those days, but they did. This was Southern Railway, because it was all nationalised then. Right. Can I put together a list of the trains that run in our service and you know, just as informatively for people? Well, the minute he did that and created a list, suddenly people started turning up at Waterloo Station to see these trains. And then they started turning up at the stations at the other end, like, you know, sort of, I don't know, Basingstoke and places like that to find the train. But Portsmouth, all that kind of stuff. So he then acquired the publishing rights to this, realising that this could...
Oh, did he? That was clever.
Yeah. He said to his bosses, he said, look, it's all right if I sort of put my name on it. He said, yeah, fine. They couldn't see the potential in it. It then became the first train spotter's guide, called the ABC of Southern Railway Locomotives, published, actually, it was during the war it was published, OK? So he was there before the war, that's right, 1942. Sold for £1, and the first 2,000 copies sold out within days.
Wow.
From that, it was the start of an extraordinary craze. The booklet led to others listing all the engines held by the Great Western, the LNER, that's London North East Railways, and the LMS, London Midland or something, railway companies in the 50s, the 60s. Eventually, 1 million ABC guides a year were sold, OK?
Amazing, isn't it?
And by 1956, when the London Midland region ABC was published, it sold a record of 250,000 copies on its first day. The club started by Alan then was called Train Spotters Guides for the young spotter enthusiasts, and it had 230,000 members within months. Alan became a national hero for a generation of schoolboys. He went on to publish guides for other special interests, but on this one, it was utterly amazing.
So did he make money out of this then as well? You would presume he would for the publications and everything.
He left a fortune of £30 million.
Blimey.
He made a fantastic business out of it. Went on to publish lists of for airline spotters, ship spotters, all this kind of stuff. You know, he turned it into a £30 million business, and the most significant thing is he invented the train spotter. But what happened was, the train spotter then became a figure of fun. Because these people were turning up at stations with their packed lunches, their anoraks...
That's it. I mean, it became a euphemism for somebody who was very boring, didn't it?
Yeah, but I think that's so unfair. What's wrong with a guy who likes trains and wants to go and look at trains and then mark them down in his book that he's seen them?
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw train spotters as a group.
Yes.
We were always at Crewe, because Crewe was one of those stations where a lot of trains came from different parts of the country.
No, Crewe's a massive terminal.
Big sort of junction, right? Trains would come from Bristol, they would come from London, they would come from the south, they'd come from the north and all the rest of it. And I remember as a child going up to Scotland on the train and seeing all these grown men standing on the end of a platform
with binoculars
with
and
notebooks and things.
That's right,
asking my dad, what are they doing? And he's like, they're noting down the numbers of the trains.
Yeah, the train spotters.
And I always found it a very strange thing to do.
Absolutely.
I never thought there'd be any money in it, though.
Oh, well, there isn't for them.
No, but I mean for this guy.
Oh, for this guy turned it into a business. I mean, this guy was not only a great train enthusiast, he also had a head on his shoulders and started publishing the guides, which made him a multi-millionaire. But, of course, then what happened was, he said the golden age of train spotting ended when steam engines were replaced on British railways, the last one being phased out in 1968. The new diesel engines could not command the affection or offer such varying individual classes as the old steam locomotives. Gradually, the sales of the ABC guides declined. Today, the very word train spotter has almost become the definition of nerdish, geeky behaviour.
Yeah, it's true.
Because people who go and look at trains now don't even get the respect of, well, aren't they magnificent machines with all this steam billowing out of them?
I mean, that's the point. There are still people doing it.
They do.
Because all the different engines have got different numbers, haven't they?
Listen, you know when the FA had to move to Cardiff, effectively, when Wembley's closed down, a number of times I went to Cardiff, and the thing I always remember about Cardiff Station was there were dozens of train spotters there.
Yeah.
And Swindon's another place where
Swindon
you see
is,
a load of train spotters.
Yeah.
That's a junction as well.
That's where we had to change that time on the way to Cheltenham.
Oh,
remember?
that's right,
When we had to get off the first-class carriage and get into that rather...
the cattle truck.
The cattle
It
truck.
literally was a cattle truck.
It was a bit uncomfortable.
It was dreadful.
And that's not to be snobbish. It just was a really, really old rattler.
It was old rattler. There was no proper flooring on it, just metal flooring.
And there were no seats really to speak of.
No seats to speak of. And a load of guys with bikes got on, took up most of the room. They were Scottish blokes, by the way, full of tattoos and all that. That wasn't good. But anyway, look, I was going to tell you my train spotting story, right? When I was at the King's School, Chester, of course, there were a few train spotters there.
Were there?
Because, they lived out in the country and their houses used to back onto railway cuttings.
Ah, yes.
And it was brilliant, you know, when I used to go round there, we were playing football in the back garden, and then as soon as we saw steam coming up from half a mile away, we'd drop the football, climb over the fence and run up the embankment.
Yeah.
And then
dangerous, isn't it?
No, there was a fence at the top,
right.
And then you'd lie in the grass and watch the steam train go by. It was a magnificent sight.
Yeah.
You know, as you saw it coming from the distance, you know, they were called choo-choo trains because they made a choo-choo noise.
Yeah. And they still had the pistons on the outside.
Choo-choo, and the choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo. It was a fantastic sight. So,
and
anyway,
did you ever think about becoming a train spotter?
Well, this is the point. This is the point. I did it for one morning, right? So they kept saying...
That doesn't show much resilience, does
No,
it?
it wasn't much resilience, no. But you bought these glossy books they bought full of pictures of trains. Very nice indeed. Yeah. I used to look at them a bit, and then they said... But I'd never got into it. So anyway, they said... Look, why don't you come train spotting with us? They're saying it all the time, and I used to prefer going and playing football on Saturday morning. Right. Anyway, one morning in the summer or something, I said, oh, well, OK, then. I said, let's give it a try. Have you got your book? And I said, well, you know, yeah. So I went and bought a book, right, you know, my train spotting book.
Right.
And we went down, and we were sitting on the embankment there on this side of a bridge. And then you could only see the steam coming from the other side of the bridge.
Right.
So you couldn't actually see the train until the train came through the tunnel, you know, and over which the bridge was built. And then it burst out in a huge cloud of steam.
Right.
And it was in front of you. And that's the only time you could tell what name the train was. And anyway, amazingly, and I can't possibly remember the name, all this happened, all the steam comes out, then the train bursts out, and all the guys go, ah! It was the rarest train they'd ever seen.
Really?
It was a train that was mostly based in Scotland.
Right.
That only made...
Not the Flying Scotsman or something
It wasn't. Well, it wasn't the Flying Scotsman, but it was something like that. And it only ever made a trip down to England about once every 2 years or something.
Yeah.
It was the rarest train ever seen in the south of England. In the north of England, because I lived and brought up in Chester, you know?
Yeah.
And it had been to... I think it'd been to Crewe, actually. I think you're right. I think it'd been to Crewe or something. It was on its way back north or something like that. And, you know, they went mad. They'd last seen this train about 4 years ago or something like that. That's how they used to act and all that. And they were so excited about it, and I couldn't get excited because it was a train.
And that when you realise it wasn't for you then.
Exactly. So I never went again. But, I mean, it is amazing how some people are so obsessed by trains, including, for instance, old Roy Cropper in Coronation Street.
Is he?
He's got all these signs around Roy's Rolls, which is his cafe, you know, London North East Railway and all that kind of stuff. So
I had a friend of mine at university, actually, who was a mega keen train spotter. He ended up
even at 18?
Yeah, well, he was actually older because when I went there, he was in his final year. He was doing an electrical engineering course. He ended up going to work for the railways because he just loved the railways that much, and he wanted to go and work for Network Rail as an engineer. And he spent most of his sort of, private time going to various junctions and looking at trains.
When I worked on the Birmingham Mail, I got attached to like a sort of satellite paper called the Sandwell Mail.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like for the Black Country, you know, Dudley and Smethwick and places like that. And
circulation, 53?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Although the circulation of the Birmingham Mail was massive, you know, but they're trying to eat into the Wolverhampton Express and Star territory.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy said, oh, look, I'll take you out onto the patch because we're building the office there. You know, we went out in his car, this new editor. And all he was talking about on the way out was like, they say things like, oh, yes, 08012 out of New Street tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I said, what? You know, and apparently the Brighton, Bell or something was in New Street, but it was going back to Brighton or something like that.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So this guy...
So they have to go and actually see it as well.
You have to go and see it. But this guy was not a train spotter. He was a train journeyer. He used to like riding on the Venice Orient Express and the Brighton Bell and the London Pullman and all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a fascination about trains, isn't there?
Yeah. There is. I mean, and there was a time when travelling by train was a very kind of exotic way to go.
I still think it's pretty good.
And there are times when you think, I mean, I still talk to people who've done it. I haven't done it. Take a train all the way across America. I mean, I used to quite like taking the Amtrak metro liner down from New York to Washington.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
It was actually quicker than messing around with airports.
But it wasn't great countryside on either side. It was very urban.
Except for that bit when you go down over the Maryland coast, which was really beautiful. You know?
Yes, that's right.
But you're right. I mean, a lot of it was very urban.
Yeah.
But it was great. But now they've got a thing called the Acela, which is much quicker.
Right.
And it goes really fast. But I'd quite like the idea of going up the Pacific Northwest on a train.
Yeah, I would as well.
Or going across India on a train.
The best train journey I ever went on was we left Chester at about 8 o'clock at night. We were going on holiday to Torquay, right, 4 of us.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this happened, but there's a train from Chester to Torquay.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to change, remarkably. I don't know whether it's a special...
Did it go down sort of through Birmingham and then...
Yeah, and all of that. I don't know if it's a special holiday train or something like that. But the amazing thing was it ended up going right along the south coast. And, you know, last couple of years ago, that bit of railway track collapsed in Dawlish.
Yeah.
You ended up going there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. You were literally travelling feet away from crashing waves in the sea. It was brilliant.
Absolutely
brilliant, yeah.
Well, even just down the south coast now, you can take a train from Hastings to Brighton,
right,
which goes all along the coast.
Really?
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
Well, when I went to Newcastle last week, right, I still get a real kick out of going in those first-class compartments, sitting there comfortably, bottle of wine on the table, watching the beautiful English countryside shooting past. It's still, I think it was a great thrill. Still a great thrill.
We've got a call to take on this.
Oh, right, let's do that.
But Graham, I think we'll just hold on to him and take him in a moment.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of things I want to tell you.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Right.
From Joe in Stoke, he says, hi to Mike. Captain Sensible of the Damned is a keen train spotter and has a train named after him.
Oh.
Now, this is something I didn't know. And somebody says there's an Ian Allen bookshop for trains and militaria just behind Waterloo Station on Lower Marsh.
Really?
So that must be just a stone's throw from here.
Where's Lower Marsh?
Lower Marsh is just around the corner.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, hang on. The Cut is the big one here. Is it off the Cut?
Yeah.
Is it off the Cut?
It's just off the Cut, yeah. It's across the street.
Lower Marsh.
You know, once you cross over from the Cut.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's on the other side of the traffic lights.
Oh, is it where the Italian restaurant is? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
La Barca.
I know it is. La Barca,
So
yeah,
it must
I know.
be right around there.
Oh, excellent. I'll have to go and have a look at that then.
Go and check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll take Graham's call. We'll take more of your calls as well. 08717 223344. It's all coming up on TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Talk Sport.
I like trucking, and I like to truck. I like trucking, On the road, you must be brave and tireless. On the road, you can listen to the wireless. On the
This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. We've got loads of tweets and texts coming in on the subject of train spotting. Some of them are not really able to be read out. But Jennifer says, steam choo-choo trains. She says, what age is Porky? Just poking fun at you. Darren says, it's so obvious, but Parry could be the fat controller. Bantam Bouncer says, there are now coach spotters outside Wembley. What is the point of that?
Coach spotters outside Wembley?
Yeah.
What, Wembley Stadium?
I presume when the coaches pull up to Wembley, there are people spotting all the coaches full of fans from various places, right?
Sounds mad, that, doesn't it? The only coaches worth spotting are the coaches carrying the teams, in my view.
I suppose so. Well, let's talk to Graham.
Let's do that.
Who's up in Manchester.
Yeah.
Hi, Graham.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.
Yeah, hello, Graham.
Right.
What have you got to tell us, Graham?
Well, what you said about the train spotters and all that, it's moved on a bit now. They're all Stobart spotters.
Oh, really?
Eddie Stobart.
Yeah, but they do that by driving up and down motorways. They don't actually sit around in service stations, do they?
No. If you go towards Scotland into Dumfries, there's a site there just where the Volta site is.
Yeah.
And you see people stood there with cameras, bobby hats on, taking pictures of Stobart trucks going past.
Is that right? I didn't know it was that advanced. I knew that.
And how can you tell what's different about the different Stobart trucks?
Every Stobart truck has got a different name painted on the front.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right, Graham, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I go to a lot of Stobart sites, picking stuff up and that.
Right.
And you have people outside with cameras and they see a new truck coming and they all flock to it, taking pictures like it's a supermodel.
Yeah, is that right? That's amazing.
And so, great. Is there a book, Graham, with all the names that you can collect?
There's a book with all the trucks. You can buy the plastic trucks and badges and all sorts, I believe. Yeah, all over the place.
It's amazing. The other thing about Stobart is
massive fan club.
And their drivers still to this day have to wear a shirt and tie when they're driving their lorry.
Do they?
Yes.
And also, the legend says if you wave at a Stobart driver and he doesn't wave back, he gets a bit of a selling off, shall we say?
Is that
really?
right? Yeah, well...
That's the legend.
That would be a bit miserable, wouldn't it, to ring up Stobart? So I waved to your driver yesterday.
That's the kind of thing you would do.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you would.
Why?
Yeah, because you're a snitch.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. That's completely untrue.
Yeah, you are a snitch.
I mean, imagine if you waved to a Stobart driver, he waved back and crashed his lorry. It'd be a bit stupid, wouldn't it?
That wouldn't be good, no.
Yeah,
tell me, Graham, I don't know how close up you've been to these Stobart trucks, but do they have rear-view mirrors on them?
No, they have door mirrors. You don't have rear view.
They have door mirrors, but no mirror in the middle.
No.
Lorry can't have a door.
You can't see behind a trailer, can you? The trailer's blocking your view.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, Graham, thank you very much indeed, mate. See,
thanks for letting us know.
So there you go. Absolutely.
Now, here's one from Kieran.
Right.
Who says, I had a friend who worked on a Northern Bell in Crewe, sold the old carpets that they were throwing away to a load of train spotters at Crewe Station for a few £100.
What, the carpets on...
The carpets from the train.
Oh, good God, I don't know.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean,
I think it's a particularly British... I mean, as you said, there may well be... I mean, because we've seen stories about those plane spotters. Remember those plane spotters who got arrested
and all that kind of stuff.
In Greece or because the Russians thought they were spying in Moscow and all that.
That's right.
But, I mean, as much as it might go on around the world, it seems to me a particularly British pastime to do things like Eddie Stobart spotting and train spotting.
I genuinely object to people who regard all train spotters as nerds. I never refer to somebody as a train spotter or something like that.
Yeah.
Like people refer to people as an anorak, because generally train spotters wear anoraks because they want to keep the cold out when they're standing around on station platforms.
The term anorak probably came from.
Well, exactly. I'm sure it did, because it is cold on station platforms and all that kind of stuff. But all I'm saying is, if you can't have a free country where somebody is entitled to pursue what they believe is their hobby, you know, what they get great enjoyment from when they're not working and all that kind of stuff, without taking the mickey out of them, it's not a free country. I think it's disgraceful. You know, a lot of these guys are sort of... They're individuals. I suppose you could call them misanthropes, right?
I suppose.
And you know, they have a place in society like everybody else.
Yeah.
But if they... What harm are they doing to anybody else? They don't usually stand there with a bottle of wine in their hands.
No.
They don't usually start shouting and screaming at people. They don't usually make a nuisance of themselves. They're completely inoffensive.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, they should be applauded for being, you know, one of the more rational and sane members of society, not the oddballs that a lot of people portray them as.
Right, so you're giving it the Porky seal of approval.
Yeah, I am, definitely,
they're a bit, you might describe
I'm all
them,
for train spotters.
You might describe them a bit like people that go fishing, you know, because you've in the
Maybe.
past slagged them off and said, you know, it's the most boring thing you can ever imagine doing.
Well, I didn't say that, you see.
Yeah, you did.
You see, you put words in my mouth.
No, I remember you saying
What I
that.
said was, it wouldn't be my idea of fun to sit around on a riverbank for 12 hours in waders or wellies or something like that, huddle into a little one-man bivouac tent, which is what they do.
Bivouac?
Yeah, to put it around them, to keep the cold out and all that, waiting for a fish to bite on my line or my rod or something like that.
No.
And also... I do think it's cruel. I mean, I know the debate has been going on, you know, ad infinitum.
You think it's cruel?
Well, you know, people tell me, no, it's not cruel. A fish can't feel a hook in its mouth. It's a cold-blooded animal. And others say, well, of course it can, because it tears its flesh and it's got nerve endings and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know the answer to that one. I can't tell you the answer to that one. But I don't like to see a live creature, a fish, wriggling around on the end of a hook in obvious distress, even though they say, well, there's nothing wrong with it, you put them back, you know. Look, I'm not against people who do it. Again, they're generally speaking very inoffensive people, anglers and fishermen and all that kind of stuff. It's just not for me, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the subject of cruel, actually, I must read this out, because a few people have sent this in, just to be clear, on the cat conversation.
Yes.
Sean's one of them. He says, do not use antifreeze. It attracts cats, and only a small amount can be fatal.
Oh, dear.
And he says, great show, chaps.
I don't want to kill a cat.
Is probably not a good idea.
No.
Now, the guy that you did have a go at earlier, though, Ronnie, the MOT inspector, he sent in another text.
Oh, yeah.
He says, I don't mind being insulted by Porky the Clown.
Okay.
I'm good at my job.
Right.
I once was the most hated man in Nelson, Lancashire, MOT testing taxis, keeping the public safe, taking dangerous and unroadworthy cars off the road.
Yeah.
It was a worthwhile job. Porky is putting his life in our hands when he pays us grease monkeys to fix his car because he can't.
Yeah, well...
So he's saying he's got a very worthwhile job.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's right.
I'm sure you have got a very, worthwhile job. Do you know who introduced the MOT?
The Minister of Transport, presumably.
And do you know who it was?
I'd be guessing. I don't know. King Joseph?
Barbara Castle.
Barbara
Castle,
okay.
in Labour government in the 60s,
in Wilson's
right?
government, yeah.
But that made these guys who run little sort of downtrodden garages, like in Heartbeat, for instance, right? There's a guy in that, what's his name now? I'm trying to remember his name of the guy in the garage in Heartbeat.
I've never seen it.
No, I know it all the time. In fact, we could do a Heartbeat quiz one of these days. I know so much about Heartbeat.
Okay.
But I'm trying to remember his name. He's a guy with grey hair and a grey moustache, and he's also the Undertaker.
Right.
So his garage is both the local garage and it's the local Undertaker. He's got a hearse park round the back and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? His brother's
I don't
name's
know.
Eddie. I can't remember now, but I will remember in a minute. But anyway, the point of my story is he runs a little one-man garage, and he's got one mechanic who's a female, Rosie. She's lovely. Now, that business struggles by, but when Barbara Castle introduced the MOT, which was basically to stop cars falling apart on the new motorways that we built, like the M6 and the M1.
I'm told it's Bernie Scripps, by the way.
Bernie Scripps, that's him, yeah, thank you. All these garages suddenly became gold mines, because then every driver of a car in this country had to spend at least £30 a year getting his car patched up to make it roadworthy.
Yeah. Well, it's a good idea, though,
Of course, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. I just find that some of the... I mean, I've in the past, not now, of course, because I don't have cars that need MOTs, because a car's got to be 3 years old before it wants an MOT. Yeah. But in the past, when I've had a car, I've been failed for things like... Oh, your windscreen wipers need replacing. Yeah. Well, why didn't you replace them then when you did the MOT?
Right.
That's what I object to.
Well, yeah, because they can't do that without getting your okay.
Well, they should have rung me up then and said, look, your windscreen wipers need replacing. Why didn't you replace the bulb in my rear, brake light that wasn't working and then pass me the MOT? And it all became a bit of a con trick. I'll have to give you another MOT now after replace the light bulb.
They shouldn't charge you for another one, though.
Normally,
well,
they do. They do.
No, they don't.
They do.
Because I had one done not that long ago.
Yeah.
And there was something that needed doing.
Yeah.
And the MOT certificate came once the work was done.
And all I would say to... Who was that? Tom, the MOT guy, was he?
Yes, I think so.
Is it Tom?
No, Ronnie.
Ronnie, the MOT guy. I'd say, look, although it's a necessary thing, because we don't want people driving around in wrecks that fall to pieces and put other motorists in danger on the road, nevertheless, it is a nerdy job. It's the equivalent to being a traffic warden, really, isn't it? I suppose we've got to have them to keep traffic going. But
well, it's a more skilled job than a traffic warden, surely.
What, MOT inspector?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, because you've got to know about the mechanics of a car.
No, you haven't. It's nothing to do with mechanics. It's absolutely nothing to do with mechanics.
Why is it nothing to do with mechanics?
It's nothing to do with how efficient your crankshaft is, right?
Well, it's how efficient they've got emissions that they have to check and all that.
It's rubbish. No. You get machines for that. All they do is put it on a machine.
But they've got machines for putting a new bulb into your light bulb or putting a new wiper on.
I could do an MOT check tomorrow.
You could not do an MOT check.
They give you a machine and you stick
why don't you fix my mirror then if you're so clever?
Because that's not an MOT job. That is just an old wreck falling to pieces.
Well, no, it's
nothing you can do about that.
It just needs to be put back into place.
Do you know what I can help you?
Go on.
I might have some chewing gum in my bag, and if I chew a bit of chewy for about 5 or 10 minutes, I'll go down into your car and I'll stick your light back on with my chewing gum.
I don't think you'll hold it. It's quite heavy.
No, I'll get another piece of chewing gum and do it then.
The whole packet.
Yeah, okay, I'll eat the whole packet then and stick it back with you.
Right.
That's the sort of thing that a real wreck like yours would respond to.
That's very kind
would
of you.
respond to.
The
other thing is, why don't you get a packet of super glue or a tube of super glue?
Because that's not the whole point of it.
And stick it back.
No.
What is the point? It's falling to pieces.
No, it clips back in.
This is the same car
clips back in.
That's got huge dents in the bonnet
It clips back in.
It doesn't clip back
in. It
in.
does. I just can't get it to do it because I'm not exactly sure where the clip is.
You don't know what you're doing, that's right, because you're a half-bake. You've got dents in the front bonnet already, which is bent.
Yeah.
You've got scratches round the back.
Yeah.
You've now got a mirror that's fallen off in the middle.
Yeah.
If I were you, I'd just take it down to that place that Dr. No used to crush that car with the scientist in it when he wanted to get rid of him.
Was he wearing a white coat?
Yeah, he was. No, he wasn't. He was wearing a suit out. He thought he was going home. He never got home. Got crushed in the crusher.
This?
Odd job did him in.
John says this. I found a picture of myself on the internet taken by a coach spotter at London Victoria. It really freaked me out.
Really?
That would be weird, wouldn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, he was on a coach. That
I
somebody took a picture of,
see, yeah.
And then posted the picture.
Oh, blimey,
and he was on the coach.
Yeah, well, they do. I mean, we said...
Unfortunately, if you were off doing something you shouldn't.
You know, coach, Waterloo Station, where train spotting was invented, is just round the corner from us here. Victoria Coach Station is a couple of miles away.
Yeah.
And that's where the old coach spotters go as well. You're right, I've seen them there all the time. Right. Yeah, it is. But, I mean, good luck to them. If that's what they want to do in their spare time, instead of going around snorting cocaine and injecting themselves with heroin and smashing up bars and becoming a public nuisance, then I say more strength to the elbow of the train spotter.
OK.
That's what I say.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It doesn't surprise anybody,
okay.
I don't think. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Ian says, I bought a car once and it failed an MOT because one of the number plate bolts was missing.
Well, there you go.
The tester cannot do any work on a vehicle.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know,
it's still a skilled job, though.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a job's worth job, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm sure Ronnie won't mind you continually insulting him. It's fine.
Well, I'm not continually insulting Ronnie. You have a valuable job. I've told you that. It's just that I think that there are jobs with greater worth to society than your job. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Now, that was, of course, Led Zeppelin we were playing there.
Yeah.
There's been a huge row going on, hasn't there, in a very posh part of leafy West London.
Well, do you know what? It's an incredible story here. What we've got here is we've got a legend, a rock legend, Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Obviously the lead guitarist of Led Zeppelin, you know, an incredible contribution to the modern culture of music, in my view. And he's got a house. I think this is all in Hampstead, isn't it? You seem to know where it is. Holland Park.
It's Holland Park,
Yeah, Holland Park. That's right. I beg your pardon, Holland Park. And that's one of the swishest suburbs of London.
It's lovely, yeah.
And the houses up there are worth, we're talking about houses here worth like between 12 and 15 million pounds, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, funnily enough, the reason I know it is because when my daughter first moved over here, she was living not far from there, just around the corner, near Olympia.
Right.
And I said to her, by the way, Jimmy Page and Robbie Williams live in a street quite near you.
Right.
Because there was a piece in the Standard about it, I think, and she went and looked at the houses and said they were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they are absolutely amazing. Yeah. Now, Jimmy Page's house is a Grade 1 listed tower house built in the 1870s by William Bruges, very famous architect. And it was later saved from demolition when people wanted to redevelop the area by a campaign started by John Betjeman and Evelyn Waugh, two of the greatest literary talents that this country's produced, okay?
Right. Okay.
So Jimmy Page owns it, and part of it is like a turreted castle and that sort of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very sort of...
very distinctive house.
Impressive-looking house.
He's lived there, I think, for over 20 years, if not 30 years, and has refurbished it inside, not just to make it nice furniture-wise and all that, but he's put in, like, coloured glass and windows and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's absolutely pristine.
Yeah.
So what happens is the house next door is bought by Robbie Williams for £17.5 million.
Who you would describe, I guess, as a bit of a Johnny-come-lately to the rock and roll business.
Well, I'm about to say this to you. About to say £7.5 million. That was in 2013, right? This is a house. It's a magnificent house formerly owned by Michael Winner, which he inherited from his parents.
Michael Winner's house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Because I went to school not far from there as well.
Right, okay, that's fine. Now, Jimmy Page is 71, a rock legend. Robbie Williams
When you say that's fine...
What?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You just said that's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I said, well, I used to go to school quite near.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I remember walking past Michael Winner's house, so I know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm pleased for you.
I just thought I'd add that in as a bit of personal knowledge.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I don't think people give a monkeys about your personal knowledge in this story. They're more interested in what I'm trying to tell them.
Okay, well, you carry on then.
Yeah, I'll carry on.
Sorry to have interrupted.
That's okay. Right, so old Jimmy Page, 71, Robbie Williams is 41, right?
Yeah.
But Robbie Williams now, as is the trend down here in London, unfortunately, wants to do renovation work on his house, which includes digging down.
Yes.
2-storey underground basement to put in, I don't know, maybe a swimming pool or an underground car park or something like that. Yeah. And this causes immense distress. It can cause immense distress.
It's very noisy,
to neighbours. It's noisy, vibration, might even, be a possibility of collateral damage to nearby properties.
You would think if somebody was digging down next to your house...
You certainly would.
The foundations might be a bit sort of shaky.
We have to assume all the experts in the world have looked at the problem and said this isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, you don't want that sort of distress in the plot of land next to yours in your house when you're so settled in what you do. So so Robbie Williams puts in these proposals. Jimmy Page objects to them, and goes and gets expert analysis of the problem from all sorts of people, and thinks he builds a good enough case to say, look, this shouldn't go on. He backed up his claims with letters from conservation architects, engineers, all sorts of people. Nevertheless, the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, the Planning Committee, who also brought in experts from historic England, have given Williams permission to carry out the work, and this has now upset Jimmy Page. Now, all I'd say is, if you had to measure this on, well, who do we most care about in this country?
Right.
Jimmy Page or Robbie Williams.
National treasure-wise.
Yeah, national treasure-wise, which is a word I hate.
Yeah.
Because they use national treasure for, Elton John's a national treasure. Stephen Fry's a national treasure.
Yeah.
It just means that you see a lot of them in the papers all the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
usually because they're very talented, like Elton John, sometimes because Stephen Fry just seems to be the favourite of the media world, you know what I mean? Well, whatever. I'm not saying that Stephen Fry's not talented. He's very talented.
Guy.
I thought the funniest role he ever did was as the Brigadier in Blackadder, where he was absolutely brilliant, you know. But anyway, point of my story is, if we had to have a vote on this, you know, would we rather keep Jimmy Page happy or keep Robbie Williams happy? Overwhelmingly, in my view, we'd vote to keep Jimmy Page happy.
I suspect that would be right.
Jimmy Page, as far as I'm concerned, is a living legend. Robbie Williams is a lucky boy who got a place in Take That, turned out not to be a bad singer, quite popular with his PR exercise and all that. Left Take That and became a successful individual singer. Yeah. But frankly...
Although, funnily enough, never broke in America, did he?
No.
Lived in America for a long time.
No, Jimmy Page is... This is what I'm saying. Jimmy Page is a worldwide rock legend. Yeah. Jimmy Page could walk into any sort of, you know, hip bar anywhere in the world, Sydney, Toronto, Singapore, London, whereas Robbie Williams is largely unknown outside of England.
Yeah.
And I've had this debate with people before. I mean, Robbie Williams has bought a house for £17.5 million, so he's got to be very successful in what he does.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
He sings songs written by other people, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't write any songs, does he?
Some of his own songs.
Has he written a few songs of his own?
I mean, he's been quite a successful solo artist. I mean, he headlined at Nebworth, I think, which is, of course, where Led Zeppelin Nebworth.
But when I listen to his songs, they're very average.
Yeah.
I mean, his greatest song ever was supposed to be Angel, wasn't it? Well, when I listen to that, I mean...
Well, I think he wrote that, didn't he?
Did he write it?
I think
okay,
so.
well, good luck to him.
About his mother.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, good luck to him, he did, that's fine. But to me, it's just a song.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sort of thing that you'd hear at a Butlins holiday camp when you were staying there for 10 days and you went down to the theatre to watch the variety show or something like that. Whereas the contribution Jimmy Page has made to music in this country is absolutely electrifying, the pun, electrifyingly brilliant.
Yeah.
Changed everybody's lives. Yeah. Changed my life. Every time you hear that riff, you know, that we just played when we came in here, Whole Lot of Love, and all that kind of stuff, it makes your hair stand on end. Whereas when I hear Robbie Williams songs, I literally turn the radio off or try and find another channel to listen to something else.
I don't think there's any argument with any of that. However, is the upshot of this? Is that Jimmy Page has lost and Robbie Williams is now going to be able to dig up his garden?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So if you're living in that part of the world, you're not going to be too happy about it either.
No, of course you're not. It says here, Williams will have to install equipment to monitor the level of vibration, which should not exceed 2 millimetres per second. Earlier tests at the site suggested this would not be an issue. Any excavations must be dug by hand, and hand tools must be used to break out existing concrete slabs. So it's all supposed to be very carefully handled. And all that.
Well, I suppose that's quite good. It means there's not really like a jackhammer involved.
Well, yeah, OK, but I mean, you know, to me, you just don't do that sort of thing to Jimmy Page. People like Jimmy Page, right, who are living legends, should have immunity to rules which govern other people. And the fact that some planning officers have gone now into session and decided to ruin Jimmy Page's life at the age of 71 after what he's contributed to the cultural well-being of this country is a disgrace.
Yeah.
And
well,
Robbie Williams...
Maybe what he'll do is he'll move away for a few months and go and live in one of his other houses.
Yeah, but then he'd be frightened, wouldn't he, of watching his own house being shaken to pieces, and he wants to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Whereas Robbie Williams, although he's been very successful, hasn't contributed anything to the cultural history of this country at all.
No.
Nothing at all.
It is one of those annoying things, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your problems with your neighbour and the cat.
I have, yeah.
I mean, one of the worst things, and this is where we'll go back to the beginning of the show when you talked about the sanctity of your abode.
Yeah, the sanctity of my garden, yes.
There's nothing worse than going back to your house when you know that either there's a problem with a neighbour
I totally agree.
A problem with noise. I mean, it's probably the most stressful thing that you can ever have.
I totally agree. And do you know what? You can't get away from it. You'd think that a guy like Jimmy Page, with the success he's had, the money he's made in his life, would be able to buy somewhere that nobody would be able to mess around with you with.
And probably he has a place in the country that's like that, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but you see...
in the middle of London, you can't do it, can you?
No. Well, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how much you try. But do you know what? Even that place in the country... Is it Madonna? I think it's Madonna. I thought it was Guy Ritchie, but they've separated now. But it might have been both of them, or one of them, has got this vast country estate, which they paid
down in Wiltshire somewhere, right?
40 million quid or something, to suddenly find later there's an easement over it that walkers, ramblers, can walk straight past their kitchen window.
Janet Street Porter coming round.
Yeah, exactly.
Every couple of Sundays.
Exactly. How do you make up for that?
Yeah.
But and I'll tell you something as well. I had a person in my life once, right? You know, and
a person.
Yes, that's right.
Female persuasion.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And
don't give a name out.
No, don't give a name out. No. And you know, she'd been married and for like 15 years. They'd built their lives together and they'd renovated their home. They had a beautiful home, all that kind of stuff. And then it was semi-detached.
Right.
So the house next door, like not the semi-detached one, but the one detached to the house next to that.
Yeah.
The people suddenly bought it. They seemed very nice until they revealed that actually they ran a fairground ride.
Right.
But they parked the fairground ride in its lorry on their driveway every day,
Really?
blocking out all light from that direction into the house.
And you can't stop them doing that, presumably.
No, you can't stop them doing it. You don't need planning permission for it. And it looked garish. It looked cheap and ugly, and it made the neighbourhood look downtrodden. And that went on for years. And these things just distress you terribly. People get terribly worked up
if
about
you
it.
live next door to one of those houses, it's become a squat.
Yes, that's right.
And when I was when I first came back from New York, I was living in Primrose Hill.
Right.
You came round there actually in that little Muse place, and one of those Muse houses got taken over by squatters.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get them out for about a year.
No, it's terrible.
It completely ruined the whole kind of residential kind
I totally agree.
ambience, if
yes,
you like.
No, I totally agree.
There was, rubbish strewn all over the place,
yes.
and all the windows got knocked out and blacked up with cardboard and all that.
That's right.
Absolutely horrible.
And it shouldn't be allowed to happen. But I want to start a kind of save,
not another campaign.
Yeah, save Jimmy Page campaign. I really do.
Right.
Because that's it. Obviously, because I just don't think we should inflict this mental torment on a man who has literally carved his place in history.
Yeah.
Carved his place in history.
It's
just. I don't understand the attraction of Robbie Williams at all. I'm not knocking it because I like successful people, and he's been hugely successful.
He has been very successful.
But I don't know how. Because
lots of people have bought his songs, and lots of people have
but
bought his previous incarnation with.
But
to Take That as well.
every musician who started the life in Take That.
Yeah.
Has Gary Barlow to thank for it.
Yeah.
Because Gary Barlow wrote all the records.
Yeah.
He played most of the best music on the piano and all that kind of stuff, and made it all work and produced a lot of the records.
And they were just as successful without Robbie Williams as they were with him.
They were, absolutely. Yeah. And the others were just dancers. Yeah. The others were mostly dancers. Because when you get 5 guys on stage singing a song written by one of them, the other 4 are just bit part players. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. And Robbie Williams, I'm afraid, is a very successful bit part player who is now causing grief and distress to Jimmy Page. And I just don't think that's right.
No.
Does anybody understand my argument here?
Well, we'll see.
You don't think I've gone off the rails or anything? I've gone off my rocker? I mean, it's something I feel very strongly about.
I don't think Jimmy Page needs to be saved by you, but that's another story. I'll tell you what I am going to talk to you about, though. Because remember in the middle of that story, when I tried to explain to you that I actually knew the area quite well because I went to school, and you did one of those, that's fine, things that you do all the time.
Yeah, well, I don't understand how you can be brought up in Hampstead and go to school in Holland Park. They're miles away from each other.
Well, because I wanted to go, my mother wanted me to grammar school, right? And she wanted me to go to a Catholic grammar school. There were only 2 Catholic grammar schools in North London.
Right.
One was in Holland Park, one was in Highgate.
And she gerrymandered you into the Holland Park one, did she?
Well, no, I did so well in my 11 plus that they insisted that I go there.
Yeah, but you were hauled across the other side of town. You didn't live there. It sounds to me like your mother was found an education officer on the take.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the kind of thing you would think of my mother?
Yeah.
So you're now going to start insulting my 91-year-old mother?
No, of course not. Oh, this is the mother that you sent off to America because you can't be bothered to look after her anymore.
No.
Is that the same mother?
No, I didn't send her off to America. No, she chose to move to America because she knew that she would see her grandchildren more.
Yeah, she chose to move to America when you said, I won't be coming to see her anymore, Mum. I can't be bothered, and withdrawing the allowances and all that. I know what's going on.
Yeah. No, sadly, that's not true, like most of the rubbish you come out with. But what I'm going to tell you about is how people like you drive their colleagues mad because you don't concentrate on what they say. You're too busy playing with your information device. You're too busy focusing on your own needs. And you just have no time for anybody around yourself, apart from yourself. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mites. There will be a podcast coming out in a little while, probably around about 9 o'clock this morning. Just follow us at the Two Mites. You can get it on Android as well. A couple of tweets to read out to you, Mr. Parry. Yeah. Derek in Bridgend, not in Pencoed.
Pencoed.
Mike, please tell Porky that Odd Job was in Goldfinger, not Dr. No.
Yeah.
Which I think is correct.
Yeah. No, I can accept that. Yes, OK, yeah, corrected. Hey, listen, I've got one here saying put orange peel down in your garden and the cat won't come anywhere near.
I tried that. It didn't work.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Because I eat loads of oranges. I like the easy peel oranges because you buy those for £1 a bag.
Easy peel?
In Morrison's. Yeah, they're called easy peel.
And why are they easy peel oranges then?
Well, couldn't you guess?
Yeah, but how do they make them easy peel oranges?
Well, I don't know, but you just pull the peel off very easily.
Why don't you just slice them up into quarters and eat them that way?
No, I don't like
doing that and just suck them off the skin.
No. I prefer to eat an orange in a more civilised fashion. I take the skin off first and then break it into segments and then eat it like that.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I put it in...
Do you like a Terry's chocolate orange?
I used to, but they're very fattening, so I don't eat them anymore.
Oh, okay. You can try the orange peelings, but it didn't work for me. Somebody said to me, orange peelings and vinegar. And that didn't seem to stop.
Oh, well, you tried it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's this picture here? All these people looking very smart, including you and me, Mr. Brazil. What is it?
Well, this is a guy called Larry who's been mocking us up as members of the Sopranos.
Oh, I see.
After some of the threats that have been going around.
Oh, really?
And so they've got you and I as kind of the lieutenants, if you like, and Mr. Brazil as the head man.
Okay, so that comes from the start of the show when you threatened to put me in a wheelchair.
No, I didn't
For
do
some
that.
bizarre...
No.
I mean, what was that outburst all about?
No, you keep repeating
you
things
got
which are untrue.
so angry so quickly.
Well, because you threatened to go near my car and disable it.
Yeah.
And so, as quite a few people tweeted in earlier, quite a few people said if anybody went near my car, I would have exactly the same reaction.
Yeah, but it's illegal to drive the car in the state it's in.
No, it's not. And that's been proven to you. Now, Roy says this. I agree with Porky. Jimmy Page has paid his dues and should spend his days studying Aleister Crowley and devil worshipping in peace.
Oh, really? There's one here. It says, thanks, guys, particularly you, Porky. I was reaching for the syringe there, but I'm going to kick heroin and take up train spotting instead. Good idea. It's a very, very worthy pastime. Right. Now then, go on. Tell me about, all this nonsense.
Yeah, the multitasking thing.
About me not paying attention in meetings. Are you mad? I'm the man who does pay attention in meetings and get things done.
Well, you may pay attention in meetings, but what you don't do is pay attention while we're doing the show. I mean, even as I'm speaking to you, I should describe what you're doing. You're sitting there staring into your information device, right? Because you're always looking into it.
Because our listeners are the most important aspect of this show, and therefore we must not take our eye off the ball when they're trying to contact us. We must respond to their very, very welcome contributions.
Yes, well, that's all very well.
Okay.
But the point is that you like to listen to the sound of your own voice. I don't think you would deny that, right?
That's not true.
And when you're in full flow, there are quite often situations where I will add something to your story, and you will say, fine.
Yeah.
And then just carry on.
Yeah.
And I know when you say that, because there's a particular tone of voice that you use, that one, you haven't listened to a word that I've said, and two, you're not interested, and you just carry on with your own sort of blabber.
No.
Which is okay. No. But, I just pointed out, because there's now been a study done, and I know how much you like studies, which says why multitasking in meetings, and I use the word meetings, that was what the study was doing on, but this is effectively our meeting.
Right.
And it does really drive colleagues mad, because it says, next time you reach for your phone in a meeting for a sneaky glance at Facebook or Twitter, it isn't your own concentration that you should be worried about. Fiddling with your phone is more distracting for our colleagues than it is for us, according to a study by Harvard academics. Well, so it basically means it's like if I'm trying to say something to you and you're paying no attention whatsoever, it's actually more putting off for me, off-putting, I should say, for me than it is for you.
Well, am I paying you attention now?
Are you paying me attention?
Yes, yeah.
Well, you are now.
Yes, exactly.
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
You hardly ever do that.
No, I do, because now you've got something worthwhile saying. But most of the time, you're dribbling on. It's worse than that. When I've been in charge of situations, if people aren't taking notice of what I'm saying to them, I get rid of them.
Do you?
I get rid. Now, there was one occasion...
Have you actually had meetings where you've thrown people out?
Oh, I've done better than that.
Really?
There was one occasion when I'd just come off a breakfast show or something, and I called a meeting to find out what...
This was when you were doing the breakfast show and being in charge?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Which must have been far too much work.
You just get on with it. So, and I called him in to decide what we can do for the rest of the day. And a guy came in, he was sitting there. Not only was he staring out the window, he was actually chewing gum.
Right.
Not only was he staring out the window chewing gum, which was irritating me dreadfully, but I thought, well, I won't make an issue of it because, maybe it's not the worst offence in the world. He then blew a bubble with his chewing gum.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yes.
That is very bad form.
Yeah. So I immediately stopped the meeting and said, what are you doing? Eh? I said, and don't A me. I said, what are you doing?
He said, A?
Yeah, he said...
And he was an underling of yours, was he?
Yeah, he was an ignoramus, And I said, you're chewing gum. I said, you're not paying attention to the meeting. I said, you think it's funny to blow bubbles? You think that's funny? Huh? I said, get out. So he said, what? I said, get out. I said, we're having a meeting. And I want people who are committed to what we're doing for the rest of the day. Now, get out. So he went out. And then about 2 minutes later, he came back in.
Right.
And I said, what are you doing?
Right.
Oh, he said, I've got rid of my chewing gum. I said, did you? Congratulations. I said, I didn't send you out to get rid of your chewing gum.
You must have been a horrible boss.
I said, I didn't send you out to get rid of your chewing gum. I sent you out because I want you out. You keep saying, hey, let me make it clear to you. I don't think you're any good. I don't want you in this meeting. In fact, I don't even want you in this building. Get out. Go home. OK? You're fired. Go. Bang. That was it.
And you could do that in those days.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that now.
Yeah.
Imagine if you did that now. You know, there would be meetings being held
Yes.
still now, today, 7 years later,
Yeah.
and the guy would still be sort of hanging around waiting for his final payoff.
Absolutely, but I do agree that if you're in a meeting and somebody who's been put in a position of authority is trying to tell you the way things are going to be done, you should pay attention.
Yes. Now, here's a few tips if you ever are in charge of anything ever again, which I very much doubt.
Excuse me, I'm in charge of lots of things at the moment.
Are you?
I'm in charge of my own destiny.
Are you?
I'm in
Do you
charge
have meetings with yourself?
I might do. I'm in charge of my own dynasty.
Your own dynasty?
Yes.
What dynasty is that?
Well, we all have to have a dynasty. How you will be remembered.
Yeah, but your dynasty...
How you will be remembered.
Generally, when you speak about a dynasty, it's about generational kind of movement, isn't it? And there will be no generation for you after you go.
There will.
Well, there's no children. So how can you have a dynasty?
No. What about the dynasty I've left behind in the areas of newspapers and
But that's not
radio
a dynasty.
broadcasting that I've worked
No, a
in?
dynasty normally refers to a family.
And it'll be TV broadcasting before I finish my broadcasting career. Don't you worry.
Well, it may well be. Is that with me or with somebody else?
Probably with you, but if I find somebody else, we'll see.
Some other Mike, maybe, you might find.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But I mean,
the
point is the Three Stooges. The point is, dynasty, though, surely refers to, the family moving on.
Not only.
And several generations of people being involved in that dynasty.
Not necessarily.
You're talking about a legacy. Which is entirely different.
Legacy, dynasty, legacy, same sort of thing. Yes,
Not really,
you
no.
could be right. Anyway, go on to these tips.
Here's a few tips, right? Keep it small. It says no more than 7 people should attend.
You mean like your brain?
In a large group.
That's obvious, wasn't it?
Well, like your inside leg measurement, more like.
You are.
It is impossible to pick up body language and subtle cues if you have more than 7 people in a meeting, right?
Right.
So that's one rule. Second rule, ban all devices. So don't let people bring in any kind of phones, tablets, anything like that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because then they'll be
I agree with that.
There. Maybe I should ban you from having your phone in here.
Oh yeah, sure. And then what about your devices? Those tablets you bring in?
I can use mine without being distracted.
Yeah, rubbish. Yeah.
Number 3, keep it short. They should last no longer than an hour. I once, when I was in that radio station in Scotland, had a guy who was the managing director who loved having long meetings.
Right.
And a guy came up from here who loved having long meetings.
Right.
And they actually held a meeting that went on for 3.5 hours.
Good God.
I actually fell asleep in it.
I don't blame you.
And after about 45 minutes, and including 10 minutes when I was asleep, I said to them, look, I can't do more than this, sorry.
No.
I cannot concentrate
I think
for
meetings
more than
are a
about
waste
half
of time
an hour.
anyway. Nobody ever comes out of a meeting and does anything. Do you know the worst meetings I've used to have? I don't know if you ever went to one, but the think tanks.
Yeah.
You know, the
drink tanks, as they became known.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go around and think, when are we going? Well, we'll all gather on Sunday night for dinner in the Country House Hotel.
Right.
And then we'll have a, what do you call it, a brain-banging session on Monday. Brainstorming session on Monday and Tuesday up till lunchtime when we'll have a lunch and we'll all go back to the office on Tuesday
afternoon. The Mirror ones used to always involve golf. So
exactly,
we went to La Manga once.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we had a meeting, I think, on the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Got there on the Friday night. Everything. We had a meeting on the Saturday morning, and the rest of the time until Sunday afternoon was all just playing golf and drinking.
It was just a complete waste of time. When you came back, by the way, to the office. Were you fired up with loads of new ideas which you implemented? No, nothing ever came of them.
I'll tell you one thing that did come from one of those though was the 3am Girls, which became quite a successful brand, and it's still going, I suppose.
And who put that idea up?
I think it was Peter Willis.
Really?
Yeah, one of the guys that I was at the wedding, at the party with the other day.
Didn't Peter Willis suggest Britain has heroes or something?
Britain's Got Talent. Yeah,
Britain's Got Talent.
That was his idea as well.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, that was his idea.
That was his idea, yeah.
He was full of ideas.
Yeah.
Now, finally, stand up as you are delivering the message, whatever it is.
Yeah, I always do.
Because people will take much more notice of you and pay much more attention
and
to you.
I walk around as well.
Standing up.
I pace up and down, walk around, stare at them, tell them what's going on. And,
like a caged beast.
Yeah, and this idea, don't let a meeting go on for an hour. I don't let a meeting go on for more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody's had enough by then, so get out there and let's do it,
Yeah.
I'm a man of action.
I know you are.
Yeah.
It's been said many times.
And by the way, when we've got to have a short break now, I'm going to tell people the real desperate news about the iron ore situation.
Are you? Oh, yes, actually, there's been a lot of people asking about that.
It is getting desperate, believe me.
Right, so iron ore update coming next on Sports. We are the two Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later. Quite a few things have come in on the subject of your legacy or dynasty. One from Blake, who says Mike Graham needs to realise that the disciples of Mike Parry will continue his dynasty.
Thank you.
Hashtag People's Man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's a bit like the tribe that you spoke of last couple of weeks ago.
What was that tribe?
You said it was the tribe of sort of the Parry tribe, people that follow you on Twitter and all that.
Well, no, I didn't describe them as a tribe. I don't think. No, I think I said that I have an accord with a certain group of people, and that's because we have all the same aspirations and values in life. Now, the reason we're playing that Any Old Iron song, right?
It was by Peter Sellers, by the way. Did you know that?
Peter Sellers?
No, it was by Peter Sellers,
was
that
it
song.
really? Good God, that's amazing, isn't it?
That was his rendition of it.
What a multi-talented man he was.
He was, yeah.
Married to Britt Eklund, wasn't he?
He was, briefly.
Yeah, got to be pretty good to be married to Britt Eklund. But he was a manic depressive, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these clowns are, I don't know why, but there you go. Old Spike Milligan's the same.
Yeah.
They moan a lot, don't they? Sort of funny man. Right, now then... Now, I'm getting a lot of... I have taken a lot of stick over the last few months since I first raised the issue of iron ore.
Indeed.
And why the...
I have to say, you were ahead of the curve on that.
I was ahead of the curve. I said if the Chinese economy slows down, so will the Australian economy, because my knowledge of the iron ore industry in Western Australia is extensive, having been there and seen it at first hand. And, it forms a very big part of the output of Australian industry.
Yes.
Anyway, guess what's happened? Chinese stock market is in panic.
Yeah.
It's lost, I mean, the figures are incredible. It's lost something like $3.3 trillion US dollars in about the last month or something like that.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Going down the old
Is it all
Swanee.
down to the iron ore thing, then?
No, the iron ore reflects the dip in the economy.
Right.
Because if the economy dips, at the moment, China are doing things like building one new power station a week. They're building like 6 new skyscrapers a month.
Yeah.
They're building 1,000 miles of
Do you know
rail.
a statistic I heard the other day is in all the time that we've been arguing about where to build the extra runway at Heathrow, they've built 30 airports.
Yes, that's right, yeah. No, that's absolutely true. They're building thousands of miles of new railway into new provinces in China to spread the wealth around the country. Now, all that results in a huge demand for iron ore from Australia, which isn't very far away from China, in terms of the globe and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if the Chinese economy slows down, like it has been slowing down, demand for iron ore slows down, and all of a sudden you've got a knock-on effect right around the Australian economy. Yeah. So, I'm telling you
But
that...
why is the iron ore price going down so fast?
Because demand has collapsed from China.
Because they're just not ordering things anymore.
Exactly.
They're unsure of the future.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Chinese stock market panic, iron ore price fell to $44 US dollars a tonne, its lowest in a decade. Prices touched $190 a tonne as recently as 2011. Oh, well, that's 6 years ago, isn't it? Copper hit its lowest price since 2009. It's all happening because demand... They reckon China's overheated.
Yeah.
The price of iron ore, the key ingredient for China's massive urbanisation, has plunged by 11%, its biggest one-day decline since the steel index began in 2008. How about that?
Extraordinary.
So I told everybody to watch it. 1,250 companies, or 51% of stocks, listed on the Shanghai and Shenzhen exchange, halted trading in their stocks, locking up $2.2 trillion of shares, worth about 33% of the country's market capitalisation. Yeah. These are huge figures.
They are.
Huge
and
figures.
So can you see an end to it then? Because I think the last time we talked about a decline in the iron ore prices, you said that it would come back.
Yes.
So presumably at some point it will come back.
Well, the demand is still pretty strong in the Middle East, in Dubai and Qatar and places like that. But nevertheless, China is the second biggest economy in the world and the fastest expanding one. Yeah. So if that slows down, everything slows down. But you've got to remember, in my view, being an observer of international economics, this is not a recession that's hitting China, it's a correction. Right. And a correction means that it has been expanding a little bit too fast,
quickly,
and it needs just to get a grip of itself, touch on the, put the foot on the brake, touch it, slow it down, and it'll all start moving again pretty quickly. It has to, because of the size of the country and the amount of expansion.
So if you have got iron ore investments, you should hang on to them, in other words. That's
hang on.
The low point.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not under any circumstances panic and sell your iron ore shares. Okay. It would be fatal.
Now, a couple of tweets to read out to you. Well, I'll finish with a question for you as well, which you can answer.
Right.
William says, I bet Man United were glad that Mr. Chewing Gum Alex Ferguson wasn't fired for chewing gum, in the same way that one of your colleagues was.
Yes.
Chris, with some more advice on the cat, nip down to the local zoo and buy a bucket of tiger dung. That keeps all animals out of your garden, guaranteed.
Yeah, no thank you.
Well, that's bound to work, isn't it?
Don't want tiger dung in the goddamn garden. Listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Hang on, I was going to ask you this question.
Oh, please do.
It's about you, so I'm sure you'd like to answer it.
Yeah, I certainly
it's
would.
From Sam.
Yeah.
He says, could you please list Mr. Parry's cultural contribution to the UK?
What's that mean?
Well, what's your what do you believe your cultural contribution to the UK is?
Well, I believe I massively improved the image of newspapers in this country.
Did you?
Over a period of 15 years.
Yeah, okay.
I do, definitely.
Aside from that, unfortunately, incident with Kate Adie, I suppose.
Well, that was a ridiculous scenario which was imposed upon me. It had nothing to do with me.
I know.
I was just a victim.
I know.
I was a victim. I also believe that I've contributed massively to the art of giving money to charity.
Yeah.
Which I think is something we've all benefited from because
Indeed.
my munificence and my
generosity,
charitable view on life, and been a what's the word I'm looking for? I've been a benefactor benefactor.
An ambassador?
No, ambassador. I've been a benevolent kind of dictator when it comes to charity.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I don't want to talk to you about because this is good from the point of view of our newspaper experience.
Yes.
In 1982, when I just started at the Express in London, because I started on the Express in Manchester and I moved down here. After a few weeks of being there, that fantastic story broke, which was initiated by a colleague working alongside me. The colleague was called Norman Luck.
Yes.
And the story he got, and the reason I say this is because it's today is the anniversary in 1982 when it happened. The story he got the story of Michael Fagan breaking into Buckingham Palace, being allowed to walk unaided through the whole of the palace rooms and ending up sitting on the Queen's bed
and this will be
as she slept.
This will be a story. I mean, I don't know if there's pieces in the paper today about it, but certainly a story that a lot of younger people won't remember.
No, that's right.
You should tell the story.
Yeah, what happened was the Queen woke up at the early hours of the morning, when light had just come up, sort of 5:30 or something like that, because it was this time of the year, so light early, find a man sitting on the end of a bed in the Queen's chamber inside
situation.
Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a man sitting on a pile of gold inside Fort Knox. It was ridiculous.
And it was at the time when the IRA were quite active as well, wasn't it?
It was, and it turned out that he'd climbed over a wall and just walked on...
walked the corridors for ages, right?
Walked unchallenged through the grounds of Buckingham Palace, found a door entrance into the palace, walked all... There's up to 3 miles of corridors in Buckingham Palace, and he seems to have walked around all of them. And somehow found the Queen's bedroom sitting on a bed and asked her for a cigarette. Yeah. He smelt of tobacco, because he was and he asked for a cigarette. Anyway... She luckily...
And he'd had a drink as well, I think, hadn't he?
Yeah, he'd had a drink, she was able to summon... Can you imagine the panic in the Queen waking up saying, how did she know we didn't have a gun? Or anything. Yeah. And somehow she picked up a phone, the phone that she'd normally order a tea from or something like that, and asked somebody to come in. They come in and, immediately the cops were alerted and all that kind of stuff. But the amazing story behind the story was...
Yeah, how did he get the story?
Well, it's interesting. See, Norman was a great, great reporter. He's dead now, by the way, so it doesn't matter what I say about him. He was, Norman was a great guy, great reporter, travelled the world and all that kind of stuff, won awards. But a man who also had his weaknesses, we have to say.
Well, they all did.
Yeah.
We all did, you might say.
His weaknesses were pretty...
Well, you might want to give too much
No,
of his
not really.
away because you still have people that know him.
Exactly. But what happened was, Norman had been around in the newspaper scene for long. On the Monday, he got a call from a very old and experienced reporter on the Sunday Mirror called George somebody. I can't remember who he is, to be honest, Yeah. And old George said, Norm, look, I want to meet you for a drink. He said, what do you mean you've got a great story for me? You've got a great story for me. It'll be in your paper, won't it? He said, no, that's the point. Yeah. So anyway, he met this guy for a drink. And the Sunday Mirror, allegedly, right, according to this reporter, were so terrified of the diplomatic row that would break out if they exposed the fact that a man had broken into Buckingham Palace and sat on the Queen's bed. They came under pressure from the royals and from the government not to run the story.
Is that right?
Yeah, and not to run the story.
And who was the editor of the Sunday Mirror been in those days?
I don't know. I don't know who it was. Right. And if I did, I probably wouldn't name him. Yeah. But it was the guy who edited the Sunday Mirror twice in the space of about 10 years. Okay. But anyway, the point of the story is that, as we all do, and I've had the same situation in my life, your own paper won't use the story. Yeah. They've run scared from it. Yeah. They've come under pressure from official circles, diplomatic circles, even government circles, and even legal circles, really, saying a breach of national security and all that. Yeah. So they backed out. So this guy gave Norman the story, lock, stock and barrel, gave him all the dates and everything, and Norman brought it back, and we looked at it and decided, well, we're going to be more bold. Yeah. Published it. Right. And it caused a huge, massive row. Yeah. Massive row, Yeah. But the thing is, if you remember, on this show a few weeks ago, we talked about the trouble that the Sunday Mirror got into when they published a story about the love train. Yeah. Prince Charles on a train with a woman in a siding a few weeks before his marriage, and the story that was published said, oh, Charles in love trip with Diana weeks out of a wedding. And that was a huge row because everybody thought, oh, it was terrible to reveal that they were actually having sex before they were married. That wasn't the story at all. Right. The woman on the train with Charles wasn't Diana. Exactly. That's why the royals fought so hard to try and stop that story being published.
And people forget that in those days there was an awful lot of pressure that was brought to bear on newspapers for all sorts of reasons.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
which we're now kind of, which the royals kind of lost control of when Diana was there. Because Diana used to go and talk to the papers without the royals even knowing.
Exactly.
And all of the stuff that she used to do with Richard Kay on the Daily Mail. Yeah. Because I seem to remember later at the Express there was a story about that guy, that Dr. Khan, that was a friend of
Yes,
Diana's,
that's right.
you know, for a while.
She used to go and see him in the middle of the night.
And the Express wouldn't run it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so in the end, the News of the World ran it.
That's right.
In a similar kind of situation to what you've just described. And the News of the World won Scoop of the Year for it.
Yeah, that's right.
And in those days, that's what used to happen. If one paper didn't want to run it, another one would.
Another paper would, yeah. But old Norm, he was an amazing guy because apart from being a great reporter who worked international and everything, he ran a DIY column.
Yeah, that's right.
And he had this house.
And he got extra money for it, didn't he?
He got extra money for the DIY column. He had this house in Purley, right, which is a suburb of South London, which was so immaculate because he used to ring him up and say, look, I'll review your new shower system. Send me one.
Right.
Oh, I'll review your new roll-up garage door. Send somebody over and install one in my house. His whole house was built on his DIY column. And he had the most remarkable gifts given to him.
Isn't there a famous story when he rang in from like the 6 Day War or something in the Middle East? And he finally got on the phone.
It was in Lebanon.
It was in Lebanon. He finally got through. And they said, you know, what's the catch line? Is it Beirut 1? And he went, no, it's roofing 1. And he filed his column from the war zone.
Actually, it was about wiring a plug.
Was it?
It was plug 1, and it was a new way to rewire a plug. And there were 6 American correspondents behind him, all thinking, oh, this guy's got some hot copy. You know, they're going to start giving a story about F-111 strikers over Damascus. No, it was about rewiring a plug. And the guys just, you know, couldn't believe what they were hearing.
Incredible stuff. More coming up, of course, on the Two Mics. Next, though, it's time for the Porky Quiz.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
A very imaginative piece of music there to kick off the quiz on the Romans.
What was that?
That's Rome, B-52s.
It's called who?
It was called Rome by the B-52s.
Oh, OK, B-52s. Yeah, I never quite understood where they got the name from. That's a bomber, isn't it, the B-52?
It was indeed.
So what were they doing? Celebrating war and all this kind of stuff?
I don't think so. They were from Athens, Georgia, I think. But I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is, of course, a quiz about the Romans, as you requested. And as ever, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
And if you get one wrong, you will hear this sound.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
OK,
You'll recognise those.
got all that. Yeah.
Now, I can see you shuffling around with a load of papers there.
Yes. I'm just putting mine away. I have no crib notes or anything like that. Don't even worry about it. Right?
I don't mind that. You don't look like you're concentrating. If I'm going to ask you the first question,
but
I need to know that you've got, like, you know, your full attention.
I am right on top of my subject. That's the only thing that you need to know. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Well, now I'm going to ask you. To
okay.
Look
I'm giving you all my attention now. Okay.
You're not looking at me though.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
All right.
Right. I'm looking at you.
Question number 1.
Mind you, it doesn't make my stomach feel good looking at you this time of the day. But anyway, go on. Yeah.
Well, if you keep looking down, I'm going to worry. I'm going to have to get the executive producer to come in and check it out.
Slightly there.
All right. Question number 1.
Yes.
Romulus and Remus founded Rome in what year?
There's a bit of a dispute about this. It was between AD 43 and AD 56, and I always plump for AD 55.
Incorrect.
No, it's not.
The Messiah.
No, it's not.
He's a very naughty boy.
No, it's BC 55, sorry.
753 BC.
No, that's rubbish.
You're nowhere near.
No, that's rubbish.
753 BC.
753 BC. Actually, I'm sorry. Hang on. I need to be asked that question again. I gave you the answer to the question, what year did the Romans invade Great Britain?
Why would you give me the answer to a completely different question?
Because my brain was rewired. I'm sorry. No,
really?
No, I need to be asked that question again.
Well, I asked him if you concentrate. No, it's none out of one. Sorry.
No.
Question number 2.
Yeah.
When did Rome become a republic?
A republic?
Yes.
When did Rome become...
Why are you looking at me with that inscrutable look in your eyes?
Because I'm just...
And have you somehow got a list of the questions in the wrong order?
No.
Well, why did you answer a question that I didn't ask you?
I'm sorry, my brain was out of gear. I thought whatever question you asked me, it came filtered through my ears as what year did...
That's very strange,
did Romans invade Great Britain? Oh, dear. Right, now, a republic, Rome became a republic, and you've got to give me a few years either way here.
I will, yeah.
In about 550 BC.
I'll give you that. 509 BC.
Thank you.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
I've been quite genuine there. It's 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ask you when they invaded Britain. I'm going to ask you how many times, question number 3, did the Romans invade Britain?
Twice.
Incorrect.
No, it's not.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very
not correct.
naughty
Why?
boy.
What's the answer?
The answer is 3 times.
No, that's not true.
43 AD.
No.
54 BC,
Yeah.
and 55 BC.
No,
Three separate invasions.
No, I contested in 43. Julius Caesar came, saw, but did not conquer.
I didn't say whether he conquered. I said invaded.
No, he didn't. He came on his own. He did not come with an army.
I said invaded.
I'm sorry, I want the point for that.
No,
we're not going any further. We're not
No,
going any further.
You won't get it.
You got
no. It's not correct.
No, it's
it's one out of three.
It was correct.
Question number 4.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get one back for this. How long did they stay in Britain?
The Romans stayed in Britain until.
It's not when did they stay until, it's how long did they stay.
I'm working it out in my head. The Dark Ages were a period of 400 years from when the Romans left until we picked up on history again. They stayed approximately 3 centuries, from 55 BC to round about 300 AD. 3.5 centuries.
What's your answer? Is it 3 or 3.5?
Well,
I can't give you half a century in such a small number.
OK, I'm going to say 3.5 centuries.
I'll give you that because it's
Thank
4.
you.
It's nearly 4 centuries.
Right,
400.
there you go.
367 years.
Thank you.
2 out of 4.
Oh, hey, this
Question
is
number
brilliant.
5.
Brilliant.
What is the Roman numeral for 1952?
1952.
Yeah.
Let me write this down. 1952. Now, this is about our language. This isn't about the Romans.
Well, it's about the Romans. It's a Roman numeral.
No, but that's Latin. You're asking me a Latin question, not a Roman question.
It's a Roman question. It's called Roman numeral.
Right, well, hang on. V11 is the last bit of it, right? And then the first bit of it is... X is 10, minus 1 is 9. So that's... let me see. That's about. I would say it's something like. Okay.
Yeah, go on.
11XV11.
11XV11.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
What do you mean it's incorrect?
It's incorrect.
What is it then?
It's MCML11.
MCML11?
Yeah.
That's rubbish, that. Oh, that's a question about the language Latin. It's not a question about the Romans.
Yeah, it is. Your number, by the way, was 15.
Hey?
Yeah, the number you just gave us was 15.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's not
so
bad.
it wasn't that far away from 1952.
Yeah.
All right, 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
Question number 6. What were Roman soldiers forbidden to do?
What do you mean?
Well, what were Roman soldiers forbidden
Well,
to
they've forbidden to do a lot of things. They weren't allowed to have sex with sheep, right?
Weren't they?
No.
How do you know that?
Well, because, you're asking me a silly question. There was lots of things they weren't allowed to do.
Well, there was one specific thing that they weren't allowed to do, or forbidden to do.
Roman soldiers?
Yes.
What, in Britain or across the whole empire?
Just in when they were Roman soldiers.
When they were Roman soldiers, there was one thing they weren't allowed to do. They weren't allowed to get married, maybe.
Is that your answer?
I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking
out loud.
I'm thinking out loud. Thinking out loud. They used to march around a lot and conquer people, take slaves. Hang on. I'm trying to think.
March around a lot and conquer people.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to think of all the things they did do.
Yeah.
Now, one thing they weren't allowed to do. They weren't. Oh, I know. I don't think they're allowed to grow a beard.
Is that your answer?
Well, I don't think they're allowed to get married. I don't think they're allowed to grow a beard. So, I mean, I've got to give you a couple of options here because there can't be just one thing they weren't allowed to do.
Well, why don't you pick one?
Well, I mean...
This is the one thing that they were forbidden to do.
Yeah, well, OK, they were forbidden to strike their superior officers, weren't they?
Is that your answer?
Well, I'm thinking aloud. There are lots of things they weren't allowed to do.
Rest of time.
There were a lot of things they weren't allowed to do.
Well, no,
and you need to be more specific.
No, I said there was one thing they were forbidden to do, which is not the same as not being allowed to do.
Well, they were forbidden to strike an officer. They were forbidden to have sex with slaves.
What's your answer?
What is my answer?
Pick one.
Pick an answer. I would say they weren't allowed to grow beards.
Incorrect.
Oh, is it? Right, and what's the answer? Yeah.
The answer is they were forbidden to get married.
Oh, I told you that was my first answer.
Of you.
That was my first answer.
Well, you didn't pick that one.
I knew that.
Well,
I said they were forbidden to get married.
Aloud.
No, I wasn't thinking aloud. That was my answer, but because you wouldn't accept it,
I had
to come up with other answers.
You said it wasn't your answer.
I didn't say that at all. I did not say that. I demand that I get that one.
Well, I'll give you half a point.
It was the first thing I said.
No, but you said it wasn't your answer.
The first thing I said was, well, they weren't allowed to get married.
But you said it
like
wasn't your
everybody
answer.
knew that. I want a point there, please.
I'll give you half a point.
That's outrageous. That's outrageous.
2.5 out of 6.
Good.
Question number 7.
That's a disgusting act of cheating.
I don't think so.
Of course
How
it is.
long is Hadrian's Wall?
Hadrian's Wall. What do you mean now? What are you laughing at? Well,
no, I just mean how long is Hadrian's Wall?
Well, there's not much of it left. There's only about 13 miles of it left.
Well, I can't comment on how long you think it is now, OK?
So you're telling me...
There's only one answer.
So you're asking me how long was it when it was built?
I would suppose that would be the right way of putting it, yeah.
OK, what stage of its construction would you like me to give you the answer for?
Well, when it was completed.
When it was completed, yeah, OK. Well, when it was completed, I can tell you...
And it's still just as long now, it's just in ruins.
It ran from Robin Hood's Bay in the Newcastle side to Ullswater in the Lake District, and it was... In total, you want?
Yeah, I don't want to part a section of it.
Right, in total...
I'll have to hurry you.
And you've got to give me a few miles either side here. I'll
give you 10%.
It was 97 miles.
97 miles. Incorrect.
No, it's not. What's that?
73 miles.
Sorry?
73 miles.
No, it was longer than that.
No, it wasn't.
It was longer.
73 miles.
Oh, it was longer than that.
2.5 out of 7. We've got to speed up. Question number 8. What was the average height of Roman men?
Average height of Roman men?
Yeah.
In what year?
In the time of the Romans.
Well, that's, as we already established, nearly 400 years.
Yeah. Well, they didn't suddenly grow
right,
an
the
extra
average height of a Roman,
years, did they?
The average height of a Roman man was 5 foot 6.5 inches.
I'll give you that.
Thank
5
you.
foot 7.
Thank
What have the
you.
Romans ever done for us?
So you'd have been the perfect Roman, wouldn't you?
No, I'd have been a...
You'd have been an average Roman.
No, I'd have been a giant in Roman terms.
A giant?
A giant, yes.
Well, not according to that picture that we had earlier.
Yeah,
OK, so that's 3.5 out of 8. Question number 9.
4, yeah.
3.5 out of 8. Question number 9.
Yeah.
At the height of its empire, how many people lived in Rome?
In Rome itself?
In Rome, yes.
Not the Roman
city.
Empire?
Not the Roman Empire, in Rome.
Right, the height of the empire in Rome, and you've got to give me a few either side here.
I'll give you 10%.
There were 350,000 people.
Incorrect.
No, it's not.
It's not the Messiah.
There's
It's
1
a
million.
very naughty boy.
No,
1 million.
There weren't 1 million
Yeah.
people in the Roman Empire in
Yeah,
those
there were.
days.
Of course there were.
No, there weren't.
That'd be ridiculous.
No, there weren't.
That's 3.5 out of 9. See if you can get a famous 4.5 out of 10. Why did the Romans leave Britain? Question number 10.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Well, a number of reasons. They didn't like the weather. They got fed up with defending the north from the Picts, right? The empire had collapsed anyway. Rome was burning because Nero was fiddling at the time, OK? And they could no longer afford to finance the far-flung parts of the empire, right?
Yeah. So which one of those are you going to pick?
Well, for all of those reasons, the Romans left Britain.
Well, I'll tell you what. Since you've been such a good correspondent and player, I'll give you that point.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Yes.
What have the Romans ever
The
done
main
for
reason
us?
was that the city of Rome was being attacked from all sides by various tribes, and every man was
exactly.
needed back at home.
Exactly.
But you kind of covered that.
Yeah, I did.
So,
yeah.
I mean, in order for you not to complain and moan and groan for the rest of the time.
That's
I will
5 out
say-
of 10.
No, it's 4.5.
No,
4.5.
I said they weren't allowed to get married, and you wouldn't accept that as an answer.
You said it wasn't your answer.
I didn't say that. I didn't.
I asked you if you were thinking aloud. You said, I'm thinking aloud. I'm thinking aloud. And then you gave about 4 different answers, thinking aloud. And then you chose one, which was the wrong one. And I still gave you half a point.
I think that was very successful. I think. You see, I never ever bother about how many marks you give me. I bother on the reaction from the audience.
Well, no, I mean,
and
4.5.
I will get a great reaction from the audience. They know I'm a master of my subject. They know that you probably had the second sheet hidden behind the first sheet.
No.
And when I got good, you pulled out stupid questions like, what is 1952 in Roman numerals?
Good. You never did get
Yeah,
good.
that's Latin. That's not a Roman question. That's a Latin question. As far as I'm concerned, I got 5 out of 9. 5 out of 9.
5 out of 10, you mean?
No, because I'm not having the 1952 one. It's a proper question.
Oh, you don't think that's a real question?
That was a question on Latin.
So basically, as far as
the
you're
Greeks
concerned...
spoke Latin as well, you know.
As far as you're concerned...
The ancient Greeks.
The what?
The ancient Greeks.
Because they not speak Greek.
They did, actually, but it was like Latin.
Like Latin?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But not like Latin at all. Surely the point is that what we proved here is that you're very, very happy to get 45%.
I didn't.
Because you think that's brilliant.
I got, as far as I'm concerned, I got 5 out of 9, and if you put that into percentage terms, that is 63%, which is a brilliant result.
Yeah, but except it's not
you'd
true.
Get a grade 1
it's not true.
You'd get a grade 1 in a university degree
No,
for
you
that.
wouldn't.
Yes,
you
you
have
would.
to get more than 70.
No,
I'm afraid you do. Well, you wouldn't know. You didn't go to university, did you? You went to Poly.
I went to the University of the Trent.
You went to Trent Polytechnic.
It wasn't up to my standards.
Yes, and you left early to go to the pub. This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
We are the two mics.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Lie down on the couch.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out. Don't forget, a little bit later on. We're going to be at the Head and Chickens later on tonight, but unfortunately it's sold out. So we're seeing everybody there who's got a ticket. And then next week we're at Newcastle at the Tyne Opera House.
Yes,
are we not?
we are. Tyne Opera House is a brilliant theatre. Honestly, it's one of the oldest theatres in the country, and it's an absolutely wonderful place to perform. There's still some tickets left, folks. If you want to join us on the Tyne, you'll be very welcome. We're going to be having a drink afterwards in the bar right next door to the auditorium inside the Opera House. And we're lucky enough to be staying up at a hotel right next to...
Why are you telling people where we're staying for?
Well, you know, it's just... I'm excited about going to Newcastle.
Yeah, right.
We're staying near...
Well, don't tell them where we're staying.
St James's Park, you know. But I haven't, have I? There's several hotels up there.
You pretty much have.
Don't worry. There.
Now, a couple of tweets to read out to you.
OK.
Here's one from Becky, who says, Porky the animal lover stoops to a new low. Roman soldiers not allowed to have sex with sheep. Shocking revelation.
Well, no, I mean, you've got to understand, if you're a student of history, as I am, it was actually quite commonplace for bestiality to be on the go sort of thing all those years ago. No, it was.
I tell you what. I mean, there are some things that come out on this show.
Yes.
That are probably never heard in any other part of the
that's
Talk
right.
Sport empire.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, Rogerisation was the word of the night the other night.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
now we've got bestiality.
Yes.
Going on.
Well, I'm afraid he did. You know, you can't ignore historical fact, can you? It's not something you like to talk about, but you can't ignore the truth.
No, indeed. Absolutely right. And Phil says, is there any point in doing a quiz, Mike Parry, if the answer is what he thinks it is, rather than what it actually is?
Well, the problem is I have to be very, very careful that, you know, because I don't believe your intellect is as good as mine.
I don't set the question.
Is as good as mine.
As you well know.
That I have to subject myself to... By the way, we've both got polo shirts on tonight. Have you noticed?
I have noticed that,
yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, quite interesting.
I prefer mine, I have to say. To
mine's more casual. Yours is more formal.
Yeah, I suppose.
And it's got like a stiffer collar. Mine's a softer collar.
Yes.
And although I accept the rule of authority and all that, because you are a clear gerrymanderer and the audience know
I have to make a decision.
I have to be careful.
I have to make a decision on whether, and I think I was quite generous actually.
And guiding me into giving the wrong answers when I told you right away Roman soldiers were not allowed to get married. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, I am guided in many ways by the reaction of the listeners on Twitter, and nobody is saying that in any way was that an unfair quiz or there were any unfair questions. In fact, Geordie Jeff says the way Porky goes on in a quiz reminds me of Bonnie Langford in Just William, who would say, "I'll squeam and squeam till I'm sick," whenever she didn't get her own way.
Is that right? Bonnie Langford did that, did she?
I don't remember
that. Yeah.
Anyway, never mind.
Bonnie Langford, didn't she sing Lost in France?
No, I think that was a different Bonnie, wasn't it?
Bonnie Tyler, you're right, yeah, OK. Right, OK.
There's Alan Brazil up in the Bonnie Banks.
In the Bonnie Banks, yeah. Listen, I wonder if I've got to mount a rescue mission for old Nancy Dell'Olio.
Oh, yeah, Nancy Dell'Olio. I talked to you about her the other day because she's been chased by the taxman, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this woman used to be top of the FMP list. That is the first Mrs. Parry, OK? I think.
Have you met her?
Yes, I have.
Presumably you would have done.
Yeah, I've met her a few times. Yeah.
Did you meet her in your capacity as FA Communications Supremo?
No, because it was way after my time.
No.
And
no, but I thought you might have been to an FA do or something where you'd.
No. I met her mostly at England games.
Oh, right.
You know, when we've been in the old VIP suite afterwards and that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
And you know,
have you never tried it on with her then?
Well, I've tried to be as charming as I possibly can in her company because she mesmerises me. She's a very, very beautiful woman, you know, and she's very elegant, you know, and she speaks beautifully and all that kind of stuff, you know. I'm not sure she describes herself as an Italian lawyer, but I've never seen her, talk about law or anything, you know what I mean? No. I think that might be something she might have done in the past.
I think the phrase Italian lawyer might be a sort of one of those euphemisms that people used to say, oh, yeah, he's an Italian lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody knows that the court system in Italy is kind of a little bit chaotic,
exactly.
to say the least.
But the thing is...
was she ever kind of warm to your lines or anything?
No, she always looked at me absolutely contemptuously.
Did she?
Yes.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a shame, yeah. Because she's
very tall?
Tallish, and she's got an absolute bouffant flock of black hair over her head. Yeah. She dresses often in black to make herself look as slim as possible, although she doesn't need to worry about that because I think she's very attractive. But she's very choosy about who she speaks to. I mean, when you said have I ever met her, yes, but never to be engaged in a lengthy part of conversation.
No. Well, I imagine she spent a long time gazing at the size of your wallet.
Maybe, but she doesn't regard me as worthy of, time to talk to.
Fraternisation.
No, definitely not.
No,
definitely not.
That doesn't surprise me.
You could see it in her face. She was very contemptuous of me, but that didn't bother me. I still thought she was a very beautiful woman. But it appears from reports that we're receiving now that poor old Nancy might be running into a few alleged financial problems.
Yeah.
She had a big row with Sven when they broke up because she stayed in his Regent's Park flat for quite a long time, longer than he wanted her to. And, that was all rent-free and all that, very expensive flat. And then she got a settlement to move out. Basically, she said, I'm not going anywhere, I haven't got any money.
Right.
Sven, you've got to give me a couple of million, which you think he did.
Right.
And then she went out and rented a very expensive apartment, apparently, because that's what Nancy would do.
Well, that's it. I mean, she couldn't really be seen living in some kind of run-down sort of studio flat in Chelsea, could she?
No, but nobody wanted her in a studio flat, but she had enough money to see her for the rest of her life, and she could have had a modern flat in a block in somewhere like, I don't know, sort of... a new build in sort of Elephant and Castle, Bermondsey, something like that.
Well, but she wouldn't want to be there, would she?
Well, no.
I mean, she was a West London sort of person.
Yeah, exactly.
She'd have to be in Kensington and Chelsea Borough, I'm sure.
That's right. But anyway, it appears now that, whatever job she's done, like Strictly Come Dancing and all that sort of stuff, has got her into discussions with the taxman and all that. So, Nancy, if you're listening or your representatives are listening, I am willing to launch a relief fund.
Really?
Save Nancy Delelio. Another campaign, definitely. And despite the fact that you've looked at me with disdain and rather dismissively in the past, that doesn't bother me.
Have you got a figure in mind that you'd like, as much as you would put into it? I mean, I don't wish to pry.
Gentlemen don't talk about money and that sort of thing when they're talking about women.
No, but I'm saying, is there a fund that you've already thought of that you could like? Because I think the trouble is, I would, as much as, you're a very generous man, and I've mentioned this many times before, I would fear for you getting involved with somebody like that, because I think she would literally suck you dry.
I'd get milked.
I think you would get milked. I think you would find yourself destitute after about a year. Because, she's a woman of very expensive taste.
What I really want to do with my, business nous is relaunch her career.
Yeah.
And then, it's the old adage, Mike.
Well, that would be better than offering her money, I think.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's the old adage, isn't it? You can give a man a fish and stop him from starving on one day.
Yeah.
But if you teach a man to fish, you can stop him starving every day.
Well, that depends where he lives, I suppose.
Well, if he lives on the edge of a lake and you teach him how to fish and give him a fishing rod, he can live, can't he?
As long as the lake's not poisoned. Well, there's not much point if he's living in landlocked country, though, is there?
Well, you see, you always have to put problems in the way of my analogies, because my analogies are so good, you're jealous that I use them.
Well, it's not your analogy,
It is.
Well, it's not exactly the thing that you came up with
first. Okay, well, who came up with it then?
Well, it's been said for many, many years.
Rubbish.
Decades.
Well, I've been around for many years.
I think it was said by some philosopher or other about the Africans.
Yeah,
it was about, you have to teach people how to fish rather than just keep giving them money.
What do you think about Tom Selleck getting sued for stealing water?
Well, that's an interesting story, that, and I bet you that's going on all over California, because,
of course it is.
all the rich people there will be saying, well, why should I have to go and queue up for water when I've got all this land and I've got all this kind of capability? I'm just going to take what I think is mine.
Yeah. I mean, to put our listeners in the picture, 4 years of drought now in California, reservoirs down to nothing, and the authorities now flying helicopters over all the stars' homes to find out how come they've got, green lawns which look incredibly lush and well watered when there is water rationing going on, and it looks like people have been stealing water. Not that we're saying Tom Selleck has, but the irony of Tom Selleck being involved is he used to be Magnum PI, and the water authorities put a PI on his tail.
I know.
A private dick, as Humphrey Bogart once called himself.
I suppose the difficulty is, because, to be accused of stealing water, it makes it sound like you're kind of somehow siphoning off the town supply. But actually, it's probably just that he's using more water than he's meant to be using or something.
No,
right? He's not actually, like, as you would say, gerrymandering the town water supply.
No, he's been using the wrong sort of water. If you can get permission to use regurgitated water and all that kind of stuff, that comes from other parts of your estate and all that kind of stuff. He hasn't been using that sort of water, apparently, allegedly, to water his garden.
Yeah.
And the local water authority spent $21,685 on a private investigator to follow a truck around that was visiting Tom Selleck's home, apparently.
Oh, so maybe he was actually getting deliveries of water.
Yeah, that's right, he was,
Right.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to have them, and they were coming from a hydrant which belonged to somebody else.
Oh, dear.
So,
Well, he might be in a bit of trouble there.
He could be.
He might need a good Italian lawyer on his case.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, let me read you a couple more tweets that have come in.
OK.
Ben says this: Dear MG, please inform your esteemed colleague that even if he had got 5 out of 9 in the quiz, which he clearly didn't, then that would equate to only 55.55% and not 63% as he claimed.
Okay.
Clearly, any future quiz topic should not involve elementary arithmetic.
Yes. Well, what he means by that is, asking me that stupid question about, what his 1952 in Latin.
Yeah.
How could that be a question about the Romans? It just can't be.
It's a Roman numeral.
Well, the Romans have got it. Yeah, but it wasn't a Roman numeral. It's Latin language, you know?
Well, Roman numerals were what were used by the Romans. Anyway, Tom says, considering Porky was an expert on the Romans, I think you were very lenient on him.
Really?
And then he says, great shows this week.
Yes.
Good Lord, my heart's just given in, says Terry. Bonnie Langford did Lost in France.
No, she didn't, did she? It was Bonnie Tyler. Yeah, I know that now. I was lost in France, in the trees, the birds were singing. It's a great record. I love that. Yeah. I thought she was a great singer, actually. Underrated.
No, yeah, exactly. Kenny says, how long is Hadrian's Wall? Answer, what now? What now? What height was the average Roman soldier? Answer, when?
Yeah.
Hashtag Porky Classics.
No. If over 400 years, I mean, man's developed. For instance...
Yeah, but they didn't grow a foot in one of the things that I found out today in my research of some of the Roman stuff, because I thought I better...
Oh, you did research it?
I always do, because I know
to set the questions.
Not to set the questions,
You see, you've just exposed yourself there.
I haven't.
Yes, you have. You've gone about, the independent body. You set the questions.
Of course I don't. The point is I have to familiarise myself with some of the Roman situation in order to, if you ask me a question, I have to be able to answer it. I don't get crib notes, right? Yeah. And one of the things I discovered was that they said in this thing that I read that the height of the Roman people was actually very similar to the height the average height of what we are now. And it hasn't actually changed that much.
Yeah, but bearing in mind that the rules and regulations of the Football Association were written in 1863, and that's why the crossbar is 8 foot high.
Yeah.
And we are now 7 inches taller, and that's only like...
No, we're not.
And that's not 200 years later.
Inches taller.
Those guys could have got bigger over 400 years.
We're not 7 inches taller.
We are.
The average height of males in 2 centuries ago was not 7 inches smaller than it is now.
It was.
Rubbish.
It was, I'm telling you, I know these things.
Well, in which case we'll all be 5'11", 6'11".
I'm an anthropology student, mate, so don't argue with me. Don't mess with me.
I won't mess with you.
All right, pal, otherwise I'll take you back through history and beat you to death with my intellect.
That would take a long time. First you'd have to find it. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mikes at the Two Mikes on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mikes TV.
When it comes to me and a cat, it's obvious who the boss is. There's only one winner. You don't know how to use wing mirrors. You've never been trained how to use them. I have. When I used to drive the Corona Pop lorry, I used to have to go backwards around little sort of corners and curves on these council estates. Well, because you're delivering people's pop to their back door.
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.